Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Cole Hamels has been the veteran leader of the Rangers pitching staff since he first arrived in 2015. This year, he has dominated the toughest of opponents, stifling some of the best hitters in the game. Now he puts his ace status up against the Tigers live from Comerica Park. It is a sunny and beautiful afternoon here in Detroit, Michigan, as the Tigers get ready to take on the Texas Rangers. It is game 3 of a 4-game series. These teams have split the first 2. We're excited to get this one started as you see Cole Hamels taking up those warm-up throws. Welcome into the booth. This is Tom Grieve. I am CJ Nikowski. And Tom, the Ranger starters on the road over their last 7 have been very good. 5-2. Their ERA is under 3. That's pretty good. But Cole Hamels has been fantastic on the road as of late.
He has. For some reason, he's struggled at home a little bit, but on the road, it's been an entirely different story. If you look at his record in 8 road starts, he's 3-1. He has a 2.05 ERA on the road. That's the second best road ERA in the American League. In his last 2 road starts, he's only given up 1 run in 13 innings. That's an 0.69 ERA. If you go to Comerica Park, where we're playing today, he's had 3 starts. His ERA in those 3 starts has been 1.80.
Yeah, it really has been a very good run here as of late for Cole Hamels. He'll get another start here on the road against a Tigers lineup that's not exactly what we expected it to be. A couple of injuries, a couple of key figures that are out. But for the Rangers offensively, things have been very good. 45 games now for Chu when he has gotten on base in a row. Tell us a little bit about what he's been doing.
Well, it was fun last night. The second pitch of the game, he hit 430 feet to extend his streak to 45. He'll try to make it 46 today. And if you look at the numbers, they're very impressive. His on-base percentage is .469. That's first in Major League Baseball. 41 walks is third. Average is .339. That's fifth. 58 hits is 11th. His OPS is .1072. He's raised his season on-base percentage to .401. That's 4th in the American League. And he's on pace to hit 30 home runs this year, maybe more than 30 home runs. His career high is only 22.
Well, Chu has been great, but he's not doing it all alone. The offense for the Rangers has been pretty fantastic here. And when we get back, John Radigan's going to take the rest of that lineup, and he's going to put him in the spotlight. Rangers baseball.
Park, where yesterday offense was in short supply in that pitcher's duel, but that could certainly change today, at least as far as it relates to the Texas Rangers. In our Shiner Box Spotlight, we take a look at past success, and it is success against today's Tigers pitcher, Mike Briers. Jurickson Profar is one of many Rangers to have taken fires deep. Elvis has a couple of bombs against him. Joey does too. And the Rangers have had lots of reps against him dating back to his days with the Houston Astros. So these are not small sample sizes. Adrian's a .438 hitter against Byers, and Elvis is over .350. He tells me you don't know the numbers against a certain guy, but you do remember those guys against whom you've had good success, and you bring confidence to the plate because of past success. We've got the starting lineups and the first pitch for a confident bunch of Rangers who will take on the Tigers coming up next on Fox.
Search the internet, you might find a picture of me holding my two cats on that carousel. About 18 years ago, I took a picture on there for the Tigers pet calendar. One I'm a little bit embarrassed about, I'm going to be honest with you, so hopefully you don't find it on the internet. But you see it right here. It really is a gorgeous day. I know we say that a lot, but this is about as perfect for me as it gets, Tom, as far as baseball weather. Yes. Beautiful sky, no clouds.
77 degrees with a little breeze. I remember playing this kind of a game as a player, and you sense the same thing. Perfect day for a ball game. No excuses for bad performance today.
Absolutely not. And we're going to take a look at the Rangers lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. And Chu is leading things off. You see that good .291 batting average. It's been a great season. We've talked about him a bunch. Elvis Andrus, Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor, Jurickson Profar in at first base. And then Joey Gallo is back in the lineup after a little bit of an incident with Delano DeShields' glove. Chirinos DeShields also in that lineup, rounding things off.
Let's take a look at how Shin-Soo Choo extended his on-game streak in yesterday's ball game. Second pitch of the game, Jordan Zimmerman pitched a gem yesterday. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, and I don't even know if you want to call that a mistake. He threw a fastball that Choo got a good piece of, hit it 430 feet.
And I'm kind of guessing, Tom,
in center field.
I was going to say, that ball's probably still there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this will be digging through those bushes to get that baseball out of there. At least I doubt they are.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be an explosion for the Rangers last night, but that was the extent of it. Jordan Zimmerman was just really good. For Mike Fiers, we'll take a look at his pitch arsenal. He throws a lot of different types of pitches. A four-seam fastball, he'll throw that about 40% of the time. Then he mixes in a slider, a changeup, and a curveball equally as much. And occasionally he'll throw a two-seam fastball. A little bit of everything with Fiers. He's been throwing the ball pretty well lately. His last couple of starts have been really good.
Right-hander appears to be ready. Chu steps in, and Jerry Meals says we're ready to play ball. And so here comes the first pitch of game 3, and Chu goes swinging right away at the first one, hits a deep fly ball into right center field, and that ball is going to be off the top of the wall and take a big bounce. Now Chu is slowed down. I wonder if he thought it was a home run.
I hope he didn't hurt himself.
Or hopefully he didn't get hurt. We'll see what happened there, but Chu does it again. And on the first pitch of the game, drills a ball to right center field.
He hit the second pitch yesterday and the first pitch today. We were talking yesterday about how it's fairly shallow at the 365 side, and then it juts out pretty dramatically as you get to the scoreboard. And so this went to the deep part of right field, hit about 2/3 of the way up on the wall. And I hope Chu's okay. It looked like he would have seen that ball and been able to get to third, but he kind of held up going to second. So we'll wait and monitor that as the game goes on.
So Chu's on when the leadoff double, and Elvis Andrus will step in. He takes a first pitch ball from Mike Fiers.
Well, back in Texas, he extended his streak in his 5th at bat with a blooper to left field. There was a lot of drama involved in that. The last 2 days, he's gotten rid of it.
Ground ball left side. Iglesias fields over to first. Chu unable to advance, so 1 out here in the top of the first. This is fascinating to me, right? When we look at Chu, first of all, as you mentioned, taking the drama out of it as he ties Julio Franco. But how about first pitch batting average? This is in all of Major League Baseball. Chu is a guy, even though he's got a great on-base percentage, doesn't really wait around.
He doesn't wait around. You know, he does walk a lot. He's walked 56 times this year. That's 3rd in the American League. So he's a patient hitter. But I think his philosophy is, I'm going to be aggressive. And the reason he gets a lot of walks is because he takes close pitches, and he doesn't swing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. So he'll make you throw a strike. But if he throws you, if the pitcher throws him a strike early in the count, he's not necessarily taking strikes to work a walk. He'll jump all over it.
And not only has he been swinging aggressively early in those spots, but he has been slugging. It's not just some base hits and flares like maybe what you might have thought a leadoff hitter used to be. We saw the home run yesterday. We just showed you that double there, almost a home run, and probably a home run in most parks that he hit out to right center field. You and I have talked about this ballpark a lot and how big that alley is in deep right center field. It's pretty incredible. Makes him a very tough out for pitchers because you know he's going to be patient, but at the same time, you leave something over the middle plate early, he's going to go out and get it as Nomar Mazara steps in. And second pitch there, count even 1-1 to Nomar.
You know, Chu has already hit 17 home runs. His high for a major league season is 22, so he's obviously on pace to surpass that easily.
Nomar went 1 for 4 in last night's ball game, and that snapped an 0 for 15 drought that he had been in. Still overall a very good season for Nomar. 15 home runs, 56 RBIs on the year. And the 1-2 from Fiers, and there's a fastball up, and that's something that we have been seeing lately here. The Tigers certainly feel like Nomar Mazara, I don't know, maybe has a little bit of a weakness at the top of the zone. We've seen some fastballs elevated against him, and he struggled with a little bit. Such a good low ball hitter, but the fastball up seems to be something the Tigers have been shooting for this series.
Yeah, and as you well know, CJ, if a player is showing something at the plate with advanced scouting, they're going to notice it. They're going to pick it up. And until you can show them that you can make an adjustment, that's what you'll see for a while.
It surprises me a little bit that Nomar would have some issues on pitches up just because he's not an uppercut guy, right? We talk a lot about how he's such a good line drive hitter and the swing is relatively level. But for whatever the reason, that high fastball has given him a little bit of trouble lately.
Yeah, and I think you go through little stretches like that where he might show that kind of a weakness, but over the whole season, he'll make his adjustments, and I don't think that'll be a problem for him. I don't think there's any reason that it'll be a problem.
2-2 from Fiers. Ground ball hit to shallow right field with the shift that was on, and Nomar Mazara is going to be called out by first base umpire Chris Siegel, but Right away, Nomar was pointing into the dugout. I think he feels like he beat it. There was a little bit of a, I don't want to say a collision, but some contact there between him and John Hicks.
Yeah, when you're playing out in right field as part of the shift. Oh boy, that is close. That's a tie. That's one of those, I think if they called them safe, they wouldn't have reversed that either. But when you're playing out there on the shift, you don't have much margin for error. And when Goodrum fielded that ball, he bobbled it just slightly, and it almost allowed Nomar to beat it out.
Chu goes to third on the ground out. That means Adrian Beltre will step in now here with 2 outs against Mike Fiers. Adrian Beltre was 0 for 4 last night's ball game. He struck out. He's 0 for 8 so far on this brief road trip. Just game 2 of what will be a 10-game, 11-day trip for the Rangers. So Fiers has been good in these spots, and you mentioned he's had a good year and been throwing the ball lately very well, but especially when he's got runners in scoring position. That is 4th best in all of baseball among starting pitchers. And there's a 1-1 hard ground ball, but right at Goodrum, who was played perfectly over to first, and the inning is over. So it's a leadoff double for Chu. He extends the streak to 46 straight of reaching base, but he does not score. We'll go to the bottom of the first when we get back. Batting order this afternoon here at Comerica Park. Mikey Mottook leading things off. Nicholas Castellanos will be second. Nico Goodrum, John Hicks, Victor Martinez, Candelario will be batting sixth. Then you got James McCann, Iglesias, and then Jacoby Jones going up against Cole Hamels.
And for Cole Hamels, his pitch arsenal. Throws his cutter a lot. That's a cut fastball. Throws it 28% of the time. He throws a 4-seam fastball and a 2-seam fastball. So most of the time he throws a fastball of one variety or the other. And 34% of the time he'll throw his changeup and his curveball. Combined 34%.
And some good news for fans of 70s police dramas. The mustache is back for Cole Hamels. It's a pretty special one. When he busts it out, it's a lot of envy on my part. I could not do that.
Yeah, I can't say anything either.
I wonder how the decision is made. All right, I mean,
I always felt like for a lot of guys, it's how you're going at the time.
Yeah.
If you're hot, you leave it. If you're not, you change it. And maybe it's just boredom.
Mottook lifts one down the right field line. Nomar Mazara giving chase, but that one will reach the stands. Now, We were talking about our open how good Cole Hamels has been on the road. His last start at home, not a great one for him against the Chicago White Sox. He threw 5 innings, it was 9 hits and 7 runs. He did strike out 7 without walking anybody, but maybe it was the outing against the White Sox that brought the mustache back out. I mean, if anything's going to scare away a bad outing, that mustache certainly could do it.
Yeah, in the open, we were talking about how well Cole has pitched on the road. His last 2 starts at home, he's pitched 10 innings, given up 18 hits and 11 runs. That strikeout on a high hummer right there.
94 miles an hour from Cole Hamels, and Maktok is down for the first out for the Tigers.
Yeah, when the season started out, Cole was more around 91 or 92, and as the season's gone on, he's been 92, 93, and popped that one at 94. But the prior 2 starts on the road, he'd pitched 13 innings and only given up 1 earned run. The last 5 road starts been pretty good too. 2-0 record with a 1.16 ERA. Well, for some reason, Cole has felt more comfortable, pitched better on the road than he has at home this year.
Castellanos steps in and lays off that fastball from Hamels up above the zone. Castellanos having a very nice year here for the Tigers. 302 with 14 home runs. The 1-0 is fouled off, and Nicholas Castellanos is our TXU power player to watch, and this is why. Take a look at what he has done against left-handed pitching this season. .432 batting average. That is the highest in the entire game. And against lefties the previous 5 seasons, .271. So very respectable over those 5 years, but he has taken it to a whole nother level here in 2018.
We're talking about how Cole has pitched better on the road. He's also pitched a little bit better when he's had 5 days rest. His ERA is almost 2 runs better with 5 days rest than it has been with 4 days rest.
I'm going to bring that up today because he does have, as you see it there, 5 days rest since he last started on July 1st against the White Sox. And this one is swung on and hit deep to left field, and this one is way gone. Joey Gallo just watches this one go into the seats, and Castellanos with the home run, number 15 for him on the season, as he continues to torch left-handed pitching.
Well, he got jammed in last night's game a couple of times, but he comes into the game hitting over 300, having an excellent season. That ball was down and in. He put a perfect swing on it. First couple of games we talked about what the wall was like here when the stadium was built. The second fence, that one went over the new fence and over the first fence. So that would have been a home run the first season of Comerica Park.
It's interesting too, a little trend for Cole Hamels this season. The first inning there have been some issues, the ERA up over 5, nearly 6, but after that everything has been pretty good, and that's not an uncommon story, Tom. I know you've seen that over the years with some really good pitchers. Tom Glavine is one of the most noted, where there was just some consistent struggles, nothing you could really do about it, just trying to figure out how to get in that groove in the first inning.
Yeah, and you always hear baseball people say about really good pitchers who are struggling in the first inning, and that's a home run is hard to say. You make a pitch, not a bad pitch, it's hit for a home run. I don't know if that's struggling or not, but let's say you've walked a couple, you've given up a few hits, there's a few men on base, you give up a few runs, and you'll always hear people say you better take advantage of it early. If you get them on the ropes, bases loaded, 1 out, you better score, because the great pitchers tend to get it together and figure it out and get stronger as the game goes.
Certainly the case with the Rangers yesterday after the leadoff home run. Jordan Zimmerman pretty much was locked in the rest of the way. He turned in a dandy against the Rangers. 8 innings, 11 strikeouts with no walks, as Cole Hamels misses with that pitch. Count full here, 3-2. That guy had a good one here yesterday as well, Tom.
Yeah, and I think the thing that was enjoyable, if you like a pitcher's duel, watching that game, they pitched together 16 innings. Was a complete game for Bartolo Colon. They didn't walk a batter, and especially Jordan Zimmerman, there were very few pitches in the middle of the plate. They just featured pitches on the corners, inside, outside, without walking anybody, which is a great indication of how precise they were with their pitches yesterday.
And Goodrum lines one up the middle for a 1-out base hit after the full count.
The Rangers defense is delivered to you by Methodist Health Systems. Joey Gallo, Delino DeShields, Nomar Mazara form the outfield this afternoon. At third base again is Adrian Beltre. Jurickson Profar gets the start at first base. Up the middle it's Elvis and Rubned. And behind the plate Robinson Chirinos will catch.
There's Joey Gallo, had the day off yesterday. Wasn't expected that he was going to have the day off, but he was a late scratch after a little issue with Delino DeShields' glove during batting practice, where one of the strings kind of caught him in the eye. As Goodrum's on the move, here's the throw, and he is safe. Is barely ahead of the Robinson Chirinos throw. And for Nico Goodrum, that is his 7th stolen base in 8 attempts this season.
Had a good lead, pretty good jump, good acceleration, nice slide. Robinson got rid of it pretty quickly. If the throw dropped right on top of the bag, he might have had a chance.
And here's a ground ball hit up the middle past a diving Rubned Odor. Goodrum will come around third. He'll score easily, and so it is an RBI single for Hicks, and the Tigers have taken a 2-0 lead. Well, they have come out swinging after the strikeout to Matuk. 3 straight hits for the Tigers.
Yeah, first pitch hitting, fastball out over the plate. Hicks grounds it up the middle for a base hit. Hicks has been swinging the bat pretty well this year. He came into the game hitting .284, right around 200 at bats, and he'd hit 8 home runs and knocked in 29 runs. That's his 30th RBI and right around 200 at bats.
That'll bring up the switch hitter Victor Martinez as he steps in against Cole Hamels. Martinez this year, the splits, and we talked about this so far with the first couple of games, pretty even for him throughout his career, and it's been kind of the case this year. .236 against lefties, .244 against righties. Pitch taken on the corner, count even 1-1. And Martinez an ideal candidate for Cole Hamels to try to get a double play. Martinez has hit into 14 of those this season. Cole Hamels has induced 13 ground ball double plays. The ground ball percentage for him at 44%, which is right around league average. And here's Hamels 1-2 way inside in the dirt. Good job by Robinson Chirinos. Now throws down to first, but Hicks is back in plenty of time. That stolen base, by the way, Tom, that was allowed by Cole Hamels. That's the 14th stolen base against him this season. That's the 4th most in the game right now.
You know, a lot of times you'll see the base runner with Cole break on first movement without regard to whether he's going to the plate or going to first base, and just try to steal the base even if they throw to first, get a big lead and a big jump. And if you happen to guess right and he goes home, then it's a pretty easy stolen base.
Hamels misses again with the breaking ball down and in. Now Hicks does not have any stolen bases this year, but as I mentioned, Victor Martinez with the double plays has been an issue. Cole Hamels has been good in getting those double plays. So even though he's not a good runner full count here, could he be on the move?
Yeah, I think he could. And the other thing in that equation would be Victor Martinez doesn't swing and miss a lot. He's a pretty good contact hitter.
And there goes Hicks, and here's the pitch, and it misses down low. And so it is ball 4 to Victor Martinez, and 4 straight Tigers have reached here against Cole Hamels.
I can remember a game I was broadcasting, maybe the first year I was broadcasting with Mark Holtz, and it was at Old Tiger Stadium. and Benji Gill was the hitter. And Benji Gill, you know, struck out a little bit, was not a what you would call a contact hitter. And I forget who was at first base, but it was our slowest runner. And I made the comment, if it's a hit and run on this count with these two players, I'll jump out of the booth. And I swear, 2 pitches later, there goes the slow runner with Benji Gill at the plate. And it's like, well, how could that happen? Johnny Oates was the manager, and I told him that after the game. I said, I was so sure that you wouldn't do that this is what I said. And he kind of smiled, and he said, you know, I was just trying to shake things up a little bit. Benji had been struggling. We're not scoring runs, and may not have been the ideal situation for it, but I felt at the time it might get us going.
And Old Tiger
so,
Stadium.
You never know.
Well, the fall probably wasn't too bad, right? Because there's a net right in front of the booth that there used to be. So if you're going to jump out of any booth.
No, I reneged on the bet.
Oh, okay.
I have learned not to say that anymore. It's funny how that happens. I guess you say things like that, and when nothing happens, you don't think about it. But then when it happens, you think like, boy, every time I say something like that, it goes the other way. But you learn not to make bets like that.
Jeimer Candelario now stepping in here against Cole Hamels. He's worked himself to a 2-1 count. He does have the highest walk rate of any current active Tiger. And so Cole Hamels, who just walked Victor Martinez, got to be careful here with Candelario.
Although remember Jim Rooker, when he was a really nice left-handed pitcher, but he was broadcasting, I believe, for the Pirates, and he made a comment like that. Only his bet was something like, I'll walk from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, something ridiculous like that, and he did it. he worked it into a charity event and actually did it. I don't know if those were the two cities, but it was a long walk.
Seems safer than jumping out of the booth, though.
Takes a little longer, but it's a lot safer.
And the 3-1 pitch misses up and away, 94 miles an hour, but Cole Hamels now has walked the bases loaded after the base hit for Hicks, walk for Martinez, and now a walk for Candelario. We showed you the struggles for Cole Hamels in the first inning this year. Right now here against the Tigers, after a first batter strikeout to Mikey Maktuk, things have changed here a little bit. It is now 5 straight Tigers that have reached.
Well, you know, if you're Cole, what you're looking for right here is get that ground ball, get a double play, end this stretch of base runners. And if you go into the dugout and it's 2-0, then you're feeling pretty good. You can kind of regroup and come back out. It's going to take some good pitches right here to try to keep it a 2-run game, keep the Tigers from having a big inning. McCann swung the bat really well in last night's game against Bartolo Colon.
Well, here is the first pitch to James McCann. It's a strike changeup located down and away and perfectly from Cole Hamels. And so that is now 2 of 7 first pitch strikes here for Hamels. So certainly not where he wants to be as he tries to get back on track here in the bottom of the first. There's a pitch swung on and missed. And just to kind of put that in perspective, Cole Hamels this year, 61% first pitch strike. So he's been very good. That's going to put you right around league average. Mike Fiers on the other side is 65% this season. But in the first inning here, Cole Hamels trying to find his groove. Well, McCann steps out. 2 runs across so far for the Tigers. It was Castellanos who hit his 15th home run, second batter of the game, and then a couple of base hits, and Nico Goodrum scored the second run of the game. And the 0-2 breaking ball swung on and missed, and McCann is down on 3 pitches, and so a nice job here by Cole Hamels to bounce back and get the second out of the inning.
Yeah, it was a great time to get a strikeout, but nice to get a double play. But with the bases loaded and 1 out, he went to his curveball, and that thing just kept on curving. Looked like a pitch you might be able to make contact with, and when it was halfway there, by the time it got to home plate, it was unhittable.
Like that was the pitch he was trying to get Victor Martinez on, which is really struggling to get it where he wanted it. But yeah, a good breaking ball there on the 0-2 count.
Yep, right when he needed it.
I'm going to bring up Jose Iglesias against Cole Hamels. Iglesias very good against left-handers this year. 316 batting average, and He looks at a first pitch fastball just off the plate. That is compared to 259 against righties this year for Iglesias. 270 overall, a couple of home runs and 31 RBIs. And there's that breaking ball down and in, and Iglesias chasing that well out of the zone. Is he sitting fastball in that spot, Tom, to take that kind of swing? Do you 1-0 count? Do you kind of get most hitters kind of guessing heater?
Yeah.
You think there?
Yeah. Ted Williams said over and over again, it's hard to be a great hitter if you don't guess. Now, not guess on every pitch, but guess in certain counts. And he frequently would ask a player who wasn't playing in the game to sit with him for 3 or 4 innings and go over situations and what are you looking for.
Well, there's a ground ball off the glove of Cole Hamels, and that thing trickles to short. There's nothing anybody can do, and that's going to turn into an infield base hit and another run across. It's 3 now here for the Tigers.
Cole had it go right off his glove, almost speared it, would have been out of the inning. You get a better carom, maybe it goes right straight to the shortstop and you get an easy out. Unfortunately, he stopped it enough to where by the time anyone picked it up, they couldn't make a play on it. So unfortunate carom off the glove right there.
There's a Southwest bullpen live look right now as Matt Moore has gotten up for the Rangers with the early 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the first. There's the first pitch breaking ball swung on and missed from Jacoby Jones, 0-1.
You know, the difference between Ted Williams and most other hitters is if he looked for a fastball in a fastball count and got a breaking ball out of the strike zone, he didn't swing at it. But a lot of hitters, when you look for a fastball, you get so geared up to hit it that you can't lay off a breaking ball, even if it's not a strike.
The line shot is off the glove of Delano DeShields in center field. 1 run is in. Here comes another, and now here comes a third, but there's a play at second, and Jones is ruled safe. And then Iglesias scored after the fact as Elvis Andrews is trying to state his case at second. But it is 3 runs on what will likely be an error against Delano DeShields. A hard hit ball, but a tough play.
Yeah, Jones went into second base standing up. Had no idea why he didn't slide. He must have thought there wasn't going to be a play. But Delano gets turned around a little bit, but got back and got his glove on it. The ball hit off the heel of his glove, it looked like. Got the ball in quickly, and you're right, CJ. If he's able to make the tag and get him at second base, the run wouldn't have counted.
Well, Doug Brocail is going to head out to talk to Cole Hamels. 3 runs across on the air. I'm sure they ruled that an error, did they not? Do we get official word yet?
I haven't heard, but
no official
I'd have
word
to
just
punch
yet.
the error if it was me.
3 runs across makes it 6-0 here in the bottom of the first inning, and the Rangers are not going to challenge that play. By the way, at second, I thought maybe there would be a chance that they wanted to take a look at it, but they believe Jones was in there safely.
Jones hit the ball hard. I don't know, maybe it was a line drive slicing a little bit. Outfielders, especially center fielders, always say the toughest play is the one hit right at you. Looked like Delano thought that ball was going to be a little bit more to our left, his right. But he made the adjustment, got his glove on it, just wasn't able to make the ball go in the pocket of his glove.
So it is officially an error against Delano DeShields. It would have been the 3rd out of the inning, and so all 3 of those runs and anything after will be unearned for Cole Hamels. But more importantly, the Rangers are now trailing 6-0 here in the bottom of the first. Mikey Matsuk, the leadoff hitter, struck out in this inning to lead things off, and then it was a home run, a couple of base hits, 2 walks, strikeout, a walk, excuse me, a base hit, and then the error on DeShields. Matsuk now 1 strike away from striking out twice in this inning. the 1-2 from Hamels, and Machtuk hits a line drive, and this is going to be a base hit into left center field. Machtuk's going to go for 2. He's around first. Here's the throw, and it is overthrown as it gets past Rougned Odor, and another run across the board. And the Tigers now lead this one 7-0. Jeff Bannister makes his way out of the Ranger dugout, and that is going to be it for Cole Hamels. 2/3 of an inning in this start, and it is Matt Moore who will be coming out and taking over for the Rangers left-hander. The Tigers by a score of 7-0, and we are only in the bottom of the first. Cole Hamels was able to get 2 outs, and now Matt Moore comes on as the long man. Game number 18 for Moore.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for Matt to get some innings in. He can probably pitch as long in this game as he pitches well enough to stay in the game. He'll be probably approaching this game like a starting pitcher. And the Rangers, when you use your long man, especially when you use them this early, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for some innings right now.
So Castellanos will step in against Matt Moore. He homered in this inning, the second batter of the game against Cole Hamels, and he takes a first pitch fastball down and in for a ball.
And so, CJ, as a pitcher, when you look at this start by Cole and you say, what went wrong in the game? Is it as simple as just location of his pitches?
Well, I think getting ahead, right? We showed those first pitch strikes have been an issue, and then kind of coming back over the plate, not being able to finish guys. But at the same time, we also saw 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those deals, I think, where Cole Hamels, I don't think he felt bad necessarily, but it was just a matter of trying to catch some kind of groove. And the Castellanos homer kind of changed things pretty quickly because it was back-to-back base hits. There was a couple of ground balls that were well placed up the middle, and then one to left. But the back-to-back walks were probably the bigger issue with Martinez and Candelario.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers in his prior 2 home starts. His last 2 starts were both at home. And in those starts, he pitched 10 innings. He only walked 1 batter and struck out 12. So 10 innings, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts. If that's all you saw, you would say that those games went pretty well. But in those games, he also gave up 18 hits and 11 runs. So it must be a combination of making a lot of good pitches, but also leaving some pitches out over the plate that they're hitting.
You know, a bit of that plus and minus as you try to find that consistency, and certainly Cole Hamels have been throwing a lot of strikes, and this one is fouled off for Matt Moore to Nicholas Castellanos. Now, this was interesting. as far as the matchup, it was a good one for the Tigers coming in. We talked about Castellanos, how good he has been against lefties. Well, coming into today, the Tigers as a team had the highest batting average against left-handed pitchers in all of baseball. Now we know how good that Astros offense is against lefties. We've seen that plenty of times already this year. And so Matt Moore, as you mentioned, faced with the idea of trying to stretch things out here in a long outing as a left-hander, will have his hands full against the Tigers.
And they've got 6 guys in their lineup today hitting under 240. So they must be getting all their hits against. Of course, these guys aren't the ones that have been here for the entire season, some of them, but still.
And no Miguel Cabrera, no Leonis Martin. Castellanos certainly carrying a lot of that load against left-handers and a high batting average. Goodrum has hit lefties well this year, 294 for him. This one is lifted high down the right field line, but that'll reach the seats. Kind of remains full.
Excellent velocity on that fastball from Matt. Threw it at 95 miles an hour.
And that'll be interesting to see. I think something worth keeping an eye on with Matt Moore is, will you see any kind of velocity boost when he goes into the bullpen? Right, it's kind of a common story now. He's obviously a Tommy John guy and has been a starter for his entire career, and his outings are longer as opposed to those guys that go into short outings in the higher velocity. And this one is swung on and drilled, but right at Joey Gallo, who makes a nice play in left field. And this inning finally comes to an end, but not before the Tigers put up 7 runs against the Texas Rangers in the first.
As we head to the second inning, those aren't fans leaving the ballpark. They've just been in their seats so long they have to go to the bathroom and get something to eat. First inning took about 40 minutes, and unfortunately the Rangers were in the field for most of it.
First pitch was at 4:10, is now 4:48 here local time as Ruben Odor steps in and takes a first pitch strike.
Now we'll see how the long inning and 7 runs affects Mike Fiers. Got to feel pretty good about pitching with that kind of a lead. See if the Rangers can chip away at him a little bit.
So what do you like to see your guys do? I mean, obviously as a player, when you had a pitcher in this situation, as a executive, and even now as a broadcaster, we just saw Mike Fiers come out and throw a fastball but then an off-speed pitch. I mean, the idea of trying to get through the order a time or two, not showing everything, filling up the strike zone with a lot of fastballs. You like that idea for a pitcher in this spot with a 7-run lead? It's early in the game.
I guess I'm trying to put myself, and you could do it better than I can because you were a pitcher, but if I put myself in the pitcher's uniform out there, I think I'd say to myself, okay, I'm going to block out the score and pitch the same game that I had planned to pitch in the pregame meeting, looking over the Ranger lineup, and just approach it like it's nothing to nothing. Try to pitch my normal game and forget about the score. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but I think that's what I'd be saying to myself. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, the right idea as long as you're throwing strikes. I think the one thing you get frustrated, right? You stood behind guys that have struggled to throw strikes. I've been the guy that struggled to throw strikes and drive your fielders and your coaches crazy. But the idea of filling up the zone and keeping a really good pace, because your offense is obviously locked in right now. You want to get them back on the field, and you want to be pitching to contact as much as possible. Now, in a 1-0 game, you might be doing it a little bit differently, being a little bit more careful, especially with the middle of the lineup. But if I'm Ron Gardenhire right now and I'm Mike Fiers, I'm thinking about filling up the zone. You got a big ballpark. Yes, the Rangers have some power, but you got a big ballpark that you certainly want to be able to use to your advantage. And if you can, try to have a quick one, get those bats back in the batter's box.
And Fiers this year has walked less than 2 batters per 9 innings, so throwing strikes has been something he's done all year. So he should be able to approach it like it's a 0-0 game and throw the strikes that you're talking about.
This is a high pop-up hit into the sun. Iglesias comes over and he'll make the play.
Let's take a look at the Tigers defense, sponsored by Jack in the Box this afternoon. Mikey Matuk is in left, Jacoby Jones in center, Nicholas Castellanos is in right field. In the infield, Jamer Candelario gets the start at third. He had the first 2 nights of the series off. Jose Iglesias, Nico Goodrum up the middle, John Hicks at first, and behind the plate, James McCann.
So Jurickson Profar now steps in with 1 out here in the top of the 2nd inning. Profar, the first baseman this afternoon. Now Ron Gardenhire, we showed you him a second ago. There he is again. Good to see him back in the dugout. On Wednesday, the Tigers were in Chicago playing the Cubs, and Gardenhire had to leave in the middle of the game. He was struggling a little bit with some dehydration issues, and he was not in the dugout the first 2 games of this series. And I think Gardy had mentioned something about running around during batting practice, having a little bit of fun out in Wrigley, and then it started to catch up to him a little bit during the game. So it is still fun to put on that big league uniform regardless of who you are and shag out there in the outfield, but it caught up with Gardy, and so he had to take it easy the last couple of days. But his first year as a manager with the Tigers, all those years of course with the Twins, but good to see him back out in the dugout leading his club.
Yeah, I think he's glad to be back in the dugout, and especially on a day like this. You don't want to miss being in the dugout when it's 75 degrees on a perfect day. I was interested in one of the comments he made. He said he watched the game on television and enjoyed watching it from that perspective.
Most of the time, right, those managers go in and say, what are those guys talking about? I have no idea what's going on. Here's a high fly ball hit to right field. Castellanos is back. He leaps and he makes the catch right in front of the wall. And a really nice play by Nicholas Castellanos to retire Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, Jurickson hit that ball well. Looked off the bat like he might have short hopped the wall for a double. Castellanos playing about average depth, goes back in the middle of the warning track, takes a leap and makes the play. Most of his early career he was a third baseman. He's transitioned to the outfield. I don't know if he's a Gold Glove candidate in right field, but he's holding his own out there for sure. That was a nice play.
He's certainly done a good job in right field as Joey Gallo now steps in here against Mike Fiers. You know, we talk about this quite a bit in the defensive metrics that are available. I don't love them necessarily, and I don't, you know, to be honest with you, don't buy into them a ton. We were talking about Manny Machado, and the idea behind them is a good one. But from a defensive run saved standpoint this year, Castellanos in right field is a -11. Now, we just saw him make that play. Don't tell me he's a bad outfielder. He made a really nice play. But basically, that means that he has given up 11 defensive runs because of his defense, which would be rating him negatively.
Yeah, I don't begin to understand him. I like them a lot more when they agree with what my eyes are telling me.
Yeah. I think most scouts are going to tell you that too.
I get uncomfortable when my opinion of a player's defense is entirely different than what the analytics show. It makes you start to second guess what your eyes are seeing.
Well, I think if you talk to enough scouts around the league, they would tell you the same thing. It's the idea behind them is great, but they just don't match up a lot of times with experienced baseball people's eyes. Well, Joey Gallo draws a 2-out walk here against Mike Fiers, and so the Rangers will have their second base runner of the game.
Yeah, I think having the analytic approach is vital to a franchise, because I know there's a lot of times where we can form our opinions based on just a snapshot of what a player does. For instance, we play a game against a team and that player comes in, misjudges a fly ball, loses one in the sun, makes a bad throw, misses the cutoff man in a 3-game series, and now your opinion of that guy is that he's not a very good defensive player. And in spite of what you might see following that, that sticks with you and maybe clouds your opinion of that player. So it's nice to have it balanced off by a more objective look. And so maybe when you put it together with the scouting opinion of a scout's eyes with the analytic approach, mix it all together, you probably come up with a pretty good result.
No doubt the marriage of those two things together probably makes all the difference in the world. It's almost where you have to be, as Fiers now falls behind 2-0 to Robinson Chirinos. Chirinos 0 for 3 last night's ball game with a couple of strikeouts, but 10 for his last 32, 7 extra base hits. It's over his last 9 games. And so you see the lower batting average at 207, but he has risen that batting average by nearly 20 points over the last couple of weeks. There's a 2-1, and this one is swung on and lifted high left field, but in front of the track. Mikey Matuk is there, and he makes the catch. And this inning is over. So Mike Fiers is able to put up a 0 against the Rangers. We'll head to the bottom of the second. Tigers trail 7-0. Of 7-0, and here's a great opportunity for you. How about taking home a little bit of snow on Friday, July 20th? The Rangers will be playing the Indians, and the first 15,000 fans get a celebration snow globe. That's courtesy of Powerade and Kroger. Make sure you get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Matt Moore back out there here now in the bottom of the second inning. And Nico Goodrum, the second baseman for the Tigers, he had himself a single off of Cole Hamels in the first. Another good fastball there, 94 miles an hour from Matt Moore. Changeup just misses at 84 miles per hour. Goodrum, 26 years old, getting an opportunity here with the Detroit Tigers after spending his career in the minor league system for the Minnesota Twins. Ron Gardenhire always liked him when he was with the Twins. He's still helping out in that organization after he was done managing, and saw an opportunity to bring Goodrum over here to Detroit when he got the job, and he's taking advantage of an opportunity at the big league level. I've been impressed with what we have seen from him so far, even at second base defensively.
Yeah, he moves
pretty well.
He looks like a good athlete, and he does not look like a guy that you would expect to sign to a minor league contract.
And the full count pitch is swung on and lifted to right field in the gap. Delano DeShields chasing. He's not going to get there, and it's going to one hop the wall. And Goodrum will take the stand-up double here to lead off the second inning. I mentioned how good he has been against lefties. His 18th double of the season.
He takes a nice swing at that fastball. Hit it exactly how you want to hit it. Fastball down and away. Didn't try to pull it. Went the other way. Hit it 375 feet. Well, he continues to look like a good ball player against the Rangers.
He certainly does, and that average against lefties will go up. It's 2 hits for him so far this afternoon. He came in hitting .294 against southpaws. John Hicks takes a first pitch fastball up and in, 95 miles an hour again. So continued good velocity here for Matt Moore. 1-0, swung on it, foul straight back. Chirinos with a little bit of an issue going through the signs. They'll reset here. And there's a 2-1 from Moore, and fastball on the inside corner, 93 miles an hour. Count even now, 2-1. Excuse me, 2-2. 2-1 would not be even. 2-2. Breaking ball misses down low, so it goes full here for Matt Moore, who also had that full count against Nico Goodrum and just hit the opposite field double. Full count pitch, foul back. Do it again. So Matt Moore this year, we were talking about the four-seam fastball, has averaged 92 miles per hour, but so far in this outing we've seen some spikes at 94 and 95 for him. He has registered the most strikeouts, on the four-seamer, 20 of those this year. Second most effective pitch when it comes to swing and misses for Matt Moore has been the curveball as well. 15 of his strikeouts have come on the curveball this season. That fastball misses in, and so it's going to be a walk here for Matt Moore, and John Hicks will trot down to first. Time now for a word from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we make car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
So with a couple of runners on and nobody out, Victor Martinez will step in against Matt Moore. Martinez walked in his first at-bat. He later scored a run on that error from Delano DeShields. He was the first of 4 unearned runs to come across for the Tigers in the first inning. Well, Tom, I think safe to say we're not going to beat yesterday's record of 2 hours and 5 minutes.
This is the baseball gods evening things up.
Just when you were getting excited about the pace of Rangers Tigers, things taking a little bit of a turn here this afternoon.
Last night the pitchers made it look easy. It's not that easy. But when you've got two pitchers in the same game working quickly, throwing not only strikes but quality pitcher strikes, the game is going to go fast. The hitters aren't going to get many hits. The pitchers aren't throwing any balls. They're working quickly. And that was just one of those games last night. And an outside chance with a really quick ninth inning of that game being played in under 2 hours.
This pitch
The
is
fastest game this year is right at 2 hours. Kansas City played that game. The Rangers weren't too far behind that last night. It's just a shame Bartolo couldn't get a win in last night's game. Pitched a complete game, gave up a couple of home runs in the game, but he pitched well enough to win a ball game, that's for sure.
It's the 38th complete game of his career.
Now, right now he stands tied in wins as the winningest Latin-born pitcher. He could have gotten a win last night. He would have set the record, tied with Dennis Martinez right now. And he keeps throwing like that. It's just a matter of time before he gets that win.
2-2 pitch is fouled off, and again, good velocity, 94 miles an hour. And by the way, for Cole Hamels, the start that he had here this afternoon, 2/3 of an inning, that is the second time that he has done that in his career. Go back to 2010 against the Atlanta Braves. He lasted 2/3 of an inning. His 2 hits, a couple of walks. He allowed 3 runs when he came out of that one. So this will be his second start in which he has lasted just 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah, and what was last night in the game at one point in time? Turn it.
Oh, what
Wow.
a play by Odor. Flips to Andrus, who lobs it over to first base for an easy double play. But what a play by Rougned Odor, who defensively has been fantastic this season and really showing off the hands on a hard hit ball by Victor Martinez.
Yeah, that was a beauty. And that's the only way he could make that play. It's not a ball that is a double play ball that you can get in front of and turn a double play on. It's a smash that somehow he picked easily, and Victor Martinez was hit so hard he was hardly out of the batter's box. Well, that's a nice play. Going into that play, Matt Moore had thrown 25 or 26 pitches. Cole threw 41. So between the two pitchers, with one out in the second, with no outs in the second inning, they'd thrown 66 pitches. I think last night was it the 8th inning when you said both pitchers had each thrown like 85 or 86 pitches in the 8th inning. So that, another contrast to the game. The Rangers have thrown almost 70 pitches in 2 innings. Last night Bartolo Colon threw 86 pitches in 8 innings.
Candelario hits one off the end of the bag. Jurickson Profar flips it to Matt Moore, who steps on the bag, and the inning is over. So the leadoff double is erased, and a nice job by Matt Moore to throw that shutout inning. But Rougned Odor was flashing the leather in that inning. An excellent job as they turn that nifty 4-6-3 double play. leaderboard as we see Rougned Odor in the dugout there, and looking what he has done now defensively. As far as his longest errorless streaks at second base, he is currently at 35 games. His career best started in 2014 and bled over to 2015. 38 games Rugi went without making an error. And, you know, not making errors is one thing, that's certainly encouraging, but also making some really good plays, as we saw there, that double play that they turned in the second inning. And so Rougned Odor, we've talked about this a bunch, what's happened with him offensively, but the work that he has put in defensively is really paying off.
Yeah, that's a beautiful play right there. And Dave and I were talking during the last homestand. Even when the team wasn't taking batting practice and there was no one on the field, he was out there working on his infield play, doing drills, sometimes by himself with Tony Beasley, working on short hops, sometimes down on his knees, fielding balls, just working on the fundamentals of playing defense. And so all that work he's doing is paying off. And as a player, that makes you work even harder. When you see the results from your work and they're positive, it reinforces all the work that you're doing. You like to work hard, but you really enjoy seeing some results from that hard work. And he's definitely seeing that.
He certainly is, and still just 24 years old is Rougned Odor, but that's almost the actions of a veteran. Certainly setting a good example. There's a lot of young players on this Rangers squad right now. And that's certainly what you want to see from your young guys. It is easy to be discouraged, put your head down when things aren't going your way, but it's been the opposite for Rougned Odor, continuing to work, and the work has slowly been paying off for him. We'll choose down in the count 0-2. He started off this game with a double. You see the overall numbers for him this year, 294 with 17 home runs, OPS over 900, but extending his on-base streak now to 46 games.
When you look at the on-base streak, Shin-Soo Choo with the double in the first inning has tied Julio Franco at 46. Otis Nixon has been passed. He was at 44. So Choo just keeps on going. Last 2 days he's done it right off the bat. Was the second pitch yesterday, the first pitch today.
We said the all-time major league record, I believe, is 85 games. Ted Williams, you know, Dave and I were talking about. I thought for sure Dave would know, right? He's certainly a lot smarter than I am. I figured he had no idea, and I brought up, but I believe it was 85 or 86 games by Ted Williams, the longest on-base streak. So, Chu, obviously, I'm sure, pretty happy that he's now at the top as far as a Ranger streak goes. But next stop, Ted Williams.
It would stand to reason that Ted Williams would have maybe not the highest streak, because who knows who's going to get that, but a bunch of streaks, on base streaks, because he hit 340 for his career and he walked over 100 times every year. And the key to that kind of a streak, it's not a hitting streak like DiMaggio had, it's an on base streak, is you can go over and walk and continue that streak. And with 100 walks, Ted was walking almost every day.
There's a 3-2 changeup that is swung on and missed. And so Chu is down on strikes for the second out this inning. And it's time for our first Chevy game break. Let's throw it to Leslie McCaslin. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that and that update. And we're here with 2 outs as Elvis Andrus hits himself a ground ball up the middle, and he's got a base hit, the second one for the Rangers this afternoon.
And Elvis, like Rugi, has been working hard. As Elvis said, that he's been surprised that it's taken him a while to find his stroke. You know, his injury came after 2 great seasons where he's basically a 300 hitter, showing power last year, playing the best offensively he's ever played for 2 straight years. Then he gets off to a great start. He's hitting 325, 326, something like that to start the season. Showing power, had a couple of home runs, everything's going great. And then the injury came. And so when you spend a couple of months on the disabled list without being able to do any baseball related activities, I guess sometimes it's pot luck. You might come back and find your timing and be a little bit surprised how well you feel. And other times it takes a while. Elvis is kind of going through that right now.
I'm sure there has to be some frustration on his part just because of what he did last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really the last 2 years and what he's become as a hitter and what he has shown us. You have a tendency, and understandably so, that after a certain amount of time you feel like, okay, a hitter or a pitcher, a player at the big league level kind of tells us who he is. And then all of a sudden Elvis Andrus, even going back to 2016, kind of started taking some other steps. And the 20 home runs that he hit last year, far and away a career high, more home runs than he hit in the previous 3 years combined. He had 17 home runs from 2014 to 2016. He had 20 last year. And so the injury certainly slowed him down because he looked pretty good at the very beginning of the year, but then took that hit by pitch from Kenyon Middleton.
Yeah,
he all that time with the elbow injury.
He basically looked the same at the beginning of the year as he had the last couple of years. And you know, he had over time made a conscious effort to change his swing. Instead of a guy going up there trying to hit a line drive to right field with an inside out swing and serve the ball to right field, he went up there and tried to drive the ball, pull the balls that were appropriate, the inside pitches, and he has become a really good hitter on inside fastballs. Instead of trying to fist them to right field, he's hitting them with authority now to left field. So yeah, I agree. It's got to be really frustrating to have been in that kind of a groove. And when you do it for, you know, 1,200 at bats, it's not that, well, all of a sudden you became a 300 hitter, but you're who you had been. It's who you are now, and he's a 300 hitter.
Well, Nomar Mazara goes down on strikes, and we are through 2.5 here at Comerica Park.
And this is a tough way to lose a ball game. Shohei Ohtani walks, he steals second, he goes to third, scores on a single, and that ties the ball game. Ian Kinsler will dump a little base hit into right field. Yasiel Puig can't catch it, but he launches a throw home that skips by the catcher. Victor Rojas announcing the win as the winning run scores. Kenley Jansen was in front of home plate, never backed up the play. It went past the catcher, and the Angels won that game. So, you know, when you think things are going bad, you look at something like that and you see a team that's a game out of first place playing some pretty good baseball, but at any given time, bad baseball can jump up and bite you.
I mean, so much going on in that play, that highlight reel. First of all, Shohei Ohtani with the legs. One of the things that doesn't get talked about. I can run, man. He's a really good athlete. He's got long strides. That was in ring. Yasiel Puig has taken a lot of heat over his defense sometimes and being over aggressive. Now, he tried to barehand that ball, maybe because of the side spin, caught him off guard. He really wasn't at fault on that throw. It was a one hopper that Grandal just didn't seem like he was interested in putting himself in the right position. He also double clutched on that throw. So it wasn't a great inning defensively for Grandal. Then you had Kenley Jansen not backing up home in that situation, and pitchers, of course, that's all you do in spring training is take ground balls and waste time backing up bases, but that's why you do it. But the highlight of it all, the very end, and I don't know who did it, but Fletcher took a rosin bag to the head, part of the celebration. Here it comes. Look out. Bam! Instant gray hair for Fletcher.
Oh, I guess that's the new one we're going to have to watch. Guys getting powdered by the rosin bag. But yeah, it's something that when Shohei Ohtani signed, that baseball fans might have known about him. You hear about his home run power. Nice strike out there by Matt Moore. The 96-mile-an-hour fastball, the split finger pitch. But I think you didn't know about how he can run. And it's not just a big lead and a good jump and all that stuff. That guy can run.
Long strides to him.
Yeah,
That's a
he's
nice,
fast.
that's a StatCast thing I'd like to see. How many steps did it actually take you to get to first base? Because his strides, it feels like it's about 6 or 7.
I think we read a StatCast on him about his sprint speed, and it's not the #1, but it's up in the upper echelon of fast runners.
Well, I got to believe, I guess, in his case that he would be compared to, because they do it by position on their website. I wonder if he's compared to other DHs, because then he'd be crushing it, right?
Yeah, I think if you compare him to all position players, he comes out in a top grouping. Since I don't know how to look that up, I'm going to kind of leave it up to you to see if you can find it.
Let's see how we do here. Internet, operating as if it were on a
no,
28.8
the top
modem.
guys that we've shown, I think, are something like over 30 feet per second.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone was 31 feet per second, but I think he was up in that general area.
So they have him at 28.1 on here.
What's the average?
He's blowing away DHs. The average is going to be a little bit lower than that. It's going to be right around 26.
Okay, so he's not
26,
among the
26 and a
fastest,
half.
but he's definitely faster than most.
So I got an easy trivia question for you, just because it's right in front of me. There's a one-hopper to Rougned Odor. Easy play as he retires Iglesias. Who do you think the slowest DH is?
Victor Martinez. He's got to be right up there.
That is correct. He is, however, according to StatCast, not the slowest in the game in general of all position players. That will go to a future Hall of Famer. Any idea who might be the slowest in the game according to StatCast sprint speed right now?
Future Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
It's got to be Albert.
That's Albert Pujols. 22.3 feet per second. He probably doesn't love
22, that's the slowest?
Yeah.
I'd like to know what Benji Molina was. Because Benji was probably 18 or 19 or 20, somewhere around in there. But Benji still provided one of the greatest thrills in Ranger history when he hit for the cycle in Boston and needed the triple in the last at bat. It doesn't get any better than that one. When you look at Fenway Park, there's only one possible way that he can get a triple. It has to go to the V out in right center
that
field.
crazy triangle out there.
And he has to get a little help from the outfielder.
Somebody has to fall down.
That's exactly
Tornado has to sweep the center fielder away.
Exactly what happened.
Delino DeShields, by the way, third fastest according to StatCast, right behind Byron Buxton and Trey Turner.
#1 is Buxton?
Buxton is 30.5 feet per second, and there's been some back and forth because I know people will hear that and you try to put it into like, well, what does that mean? Because miles per hour is a little bit easier for us to, I think, digest, which I wish that were the case, but here we are. Get your calculators out.
Well, if that's the way it's going to be measured, eventually it'll start to register.
Yeah.
And we know what the fastest is and we know what the slowest is. We know Ohtani's a good runner, better than average, so it's starting to take shape.
There's a 2-out walk to Jacoby Jones. Second time he has been on. He hit that line drive to center field that Delino DeShields made an error on that led to 4 earned runs.
I think one of the most exciting events you could have would be to take the 5 fastest runners based on that StatCast number and put them in a 40, 60-yard dash.
That would be great for the All-Star break. Or during the All-Star game, a skills competition. I've been pushing for it to be fun. You'd be worried to death, of course, about anybody getting hurt.
It'll never happen for that reason.
Yeah. But I'm with you. Delino has told us he has never lost a race, right? And I think there's something to be said for that, because there's one thing when you have a skill set, there's another thing to compete.
Yeah.
And when Billy Hamilton or Byron Buxton is lining up right next to you, there's an extra gear there sometimes that you didn't know you had.
I guess the question is, how many times has Byron Buxton ever lost too?
Probably not too many. if Delino was at, let's put him at home plate, and Albert Pujols was at second, do you think he could beat him to home?
Whoa.
First base, he probably could pretty easily.
First
right?
base, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Second base?
No, I'm saying, yeah, so if Albert's
Yeah, I
at
don't
first,
think-
yeah. What if Delino was at first and Albert's at second?
They
Easy,
run
right?
and they run in opposite directions.
Probably a safer way to do it.
Well, here's what we're talking about. I'm sure you've seen this, but here comes the triple. With a little help by the center fielder. And now he's at second. Oh, no, I got to go to third.
Fantastic.
And that completed the cycle. There's the antlers, which signifies speed.
Thought he would have went with the oxygen mask on there.
That was so much fun. He's such a good guy, too.
He's, he has a presence on social media, on Twitter.
Does he?
Be more positive.
He's a great
always
guy.
about, he does some radio with the Cardinals on Spanish radio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And just really such a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
Well, there's strike three, and Mikey Machtuk goes down. Second time he has struck out in this game, and the inning is over. And so another shutout inning for Matt Moore. We're through three here at Comerica Park. Saturday, July 21st at 7:05, the Rangers will be playing the Cleveland Indians, and the first 15,000 fans will get themselves an Elvis Andrus Best Friends bobblehead. That's courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Tom Thumb. It's the second in a series of two Best Friend bobbleheads. You, of course, get those tickets at TexasRangers.com. And we show you that man right there because that is the second half of the Best Friend duo. Adrian Beltre stepping in 0 for 1 with a ground out back in the first inning. He lifts one high in the air to the left side. Iglesias fighting the sun with his glove, but he is going to make the catch. One out here in the fourth. So Rougned Odor steps in. Rugi so far this afternoon, he flew out to Jose Iglesias to lead off the second inning. He's made a couple of nice plays at second.
We've been talking about Iglesias a lot and the nice defense that he plays. And in just a second, we're going to show the play he made last night. I don't know that I've seen this play. Shortstop fielding the ball halfway to first base and bouncing it to first base. And at first we wondered whether he did it on purpose. And then when we saw it, it was obvious that he did it on purpose. And it looked, what happened was that he was off balance, kind of going away from first base, and he made a split-second decision that the best way he could get it to first was fire it into the ground on one hop. Was not able to make the throw in the air accurately, and it's a unique play. I don't think I've ever, number one, I don't know how many times I've seen a shortstop field the ball that close to first base. So that doesn't happen very often. But to see an infielder make a play like that where he bounces it to first base, being that close to first base. We've seen a shortstop do it, or a second baseman. When a second baseman goes behind second base, shortstop goes in the hole, especially on turf. You'll see a bounce throw to first base, but one that close to first base, very seldom will you see that. So kind of a heads up play by a talented defensive player.
I wonder if, that was just a natural reaction. You mentioned Kirk Gibson said that they practiced that a little bit. You and I were a little disbelief of that.
Yeah.
Or is it just straight instinct? I mean, he is a really good
I think it's
infielder.
instinct. I think it was instinctive. I don't think you can plan it. I don't think you can make up your mind you're going to do it. There's not enough time. I think he just instinctively made that play.
Kirk Gibson, the longtime major leaguer, he played here, of course, Detroit. Here's another look.
You see how close he's not quite halfway to first base. But he just fired it into the ground, and the play, he didn't make the play. Runner was safe at first base, but still a very unique play.
This one line into the left field gap by Rougned Odor. He is around second and thinking about three. Big turn, and he goes back to second. So a one-out double for Rugi, and he continues to swing a very good bat as he drives that ball to left center field.
Yeah, that was nicely hit ball, but maybe if it wasn't 7-0, Rugi might have tried to go to third on that play. The fans kind of groaned. I think they wanted to see whether he could beat the throw to third base. Would have been a close play. That was a line smash in the gap. Well hit ball. Rugi puts on the brakes.
It's been a good run. A good run for Rougned Odor. Go back to June 1st. That on base percentage at .358. The OPS at .750. He's been swinging a pretty good bat, and so is this man right here. Jurickson Profar steps in and makes the first pitch off speed just below the zone. Mike Fiers wanted that call to strike. Profar ahead in the count 2-0 here against Mike Fiers. 2-0 taken, 90 miles an hour on the corner, called strike one. 6-game hitting streak for Jurickson Profar. He's 10 for 25 over that streak with 3 doubles, 4 RBIs. Hit by a pitch, not surprising. It seems like he's getting it somewhat consistently, especially against the Houston Astros and Royals this year. And he drives one to left field, and Machtuk, though, is right there. He makes the catch, and 2 out now here in the top of the 4th as Rougned Odor goes back to second base.
Yeah, and you take a look at the day so far for Jurickson Profar. The first time up, he hit a line drive to right field that Castellanos made a nice running catch near the warning track, and that time he served a line drive right off the barrel of the bat to left field. Easy play for Machtuk, but 2 solidly hit balls, 0 for 2. Jurickson been swinging the bat great. Hitting 6 straight games, and during those 6 straight games, he hit 400. He had his average coming into the game almost up to 250.
Joey Gallo takes a big swing, and mentioned it, 94 miles an hour on the ball that he hit to right field, 100 miles an hour on that one that he just hit the left. You would assume right, the one he pulled would have been harder.
I would have
just
thought
gives
so.
you an idea of how well Jurickson Profar has been swinging the bat lately. I just mentioned the streak, but more importantly that he's driving the ball the other way with some authority at 100 miles an hour. Rougned Odor, by the way, his double that he hit, 106 miles an hour, also opposite field. So
yeah,
for Anthony Iapoce, that's what he wants to see.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, with Jurickson Profar coming into the game, he had 22 doubles. That led the team. And 34 extra base hits. That was tied for first on the team. That's probably something that you wouldn't have expected.
Inside move from Mike Fiers, but Rougned Odor not going anywhere. Joey Gallo did not play in Friday's game last night, but he's homered in 3 of his last 6, and he had been on a slow streak with the home runs. He had hit just 1 in his previous 17 games, but the power stroke seems to be back for Joey Gallo, who leads the Rangers with 21 home runs. That is tied for 8th in the American League. Breaking ball in the dirt now. Joey does not offer, and so the count is 1-2.
Shin-Soo Choo with 17 home runs and now 19 doubles has the most extra base hits on the team. Jurickson's right there with him.
Fiers going through multiple sets of signs with his catcher James McCann, but he's ready to deliver his 1-2, and there's a breaking ball outside. Count even 2-2. The walk rate this year for Joey, 12%, second best on the Rangers behind Choo. Of course, we know the great job that he has done, but it's been a good year in that regard for Joey Gallo as he continues to work on that strike zone discipline. And there's a 2-2, and that fastball is fouled off.
On Thursday, hanging slider. That one went 455, 56 feet. 453 feet at 112 miles an hour, all the way over the seats in the lower deck. A little bit higher, he would have been able to get it into the second deck. Love to watch those. There's no doubt whether it's going to be a home run. You just want to see where it's going to land. Sometimes he hits them so high, you have no idea where they're going to land.
.64 pitches for Mike Fiers so far through 3 2/3. Gets ready to deliver his 2-2 to Joey Gallo. That fastball is fouled off, and we were just talking about Joey Gallo and the home runs. When he hits them, he doesn't hit them cheaply, and he doesn't hit them off the end of the bat, Tom. 12 home runs that have been better than 110 miles an hour on the exit velocity. That is the most in Major League Baseball this year. The average home run exit velocity of nearly 109 miles per hour. And I'm surprised that 411 feet is only 9th.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, with the exit velocity, I guess that means that he's hit some of them have just been line drives that haven't like maxed out their distance, where they've gone off the bat at over 110 miles an hour, but haven't gone 460 feet because he didn't have the exit, the launch angle. So many terms, I can't get them straight. Launch angle, exit velocity. It's a big adjustment for someone my age.
It's a big adjustment for all of us.
Starting to talk about these things.
Gallo lays off that pitch and does a nice job of working the count full after getting behind 0-2 against Mike Fiers. A couple of foul balls, and now looking at that 2-2 pitch, and Joey Gallo's got himself a full count. .3-2 swung on and missed, and Joey Gallo chases one out of the zone, and the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th here in Detroit with the Tigers still leading the Rangers.
Joey Gallo back out there in left field, and the Rangers really feel like they dodged a bullet with the mishap during shagging yesterday. Joey told us today it was actually because it was basically 24 hours ago right now. He was taking live reads on balls off the bat so he could anticipate what the sun would be like today. Delino DeShields was doing the same thing. Ironically, a lot of guys around them saw the collision about to happen, and fortunately it was mostly just Delino's glove that caught Joey in the eye. He saw an optometrist yesterday here in the clubhouse, and then again today he went to that guy's office. There is no scratch actually on the eye, just some powerful drops in there, and Joey's vision is perfect, he says, and he's back in left field, guys.
Yeah, and certainly some good news for the Rangers to have him out there, and that it wasn't anything significant. Anytime you've ever scratched your eye, I've been through it before, it's pretty brutal. It's
scary
just
stuff.
Well, just tearing all the time, right? Irritating, and can imagine then trying to hit big league pitching or catch a line drive. Castellanos now stepping in here against Matt Moore, as you see Joey Gallo out there with the glasses, and certainly some sun to battle on the left side. We've seen it already with the pop-ups in the infield and left side of the outfield as well, and some in center. 2-0 pitch is outside, so Nick Castellanos now way ahead in the count, 3-0. He homered in the first inning. That drove in the first run for the Tigers, and then he lined out to finish the first inning. A 1-for-2 first inning for Castellanos.
So have you heard anything from Dave Raymond today or last?
He's MIA. He is full vacation mode.
He's in vacation mode, but I was seeing a lot of social media about him talking about the soccer game today.
Oh.
You know, before the soccer game, Sweden and England. I was wondering if you'd heard anything after the game.
Yeah, I think he kind of dug himself a hole and went and hid in it for a little while, and things did not work out for
Dave's team is from Sweden. They're a very good team. My team is from England, and they're a little bit better team. They won 2-0 today.
So Dave's team was a good team.
They really weren't much of a match for the English team today. It's 2-0. It looked like it was going to be a lot worse than that. Dominating performance by the Brits.
I imagine had it gone another way, as this ball will get away from Chirinos, and the bat boy picks it up. Yeah, that ball was live. Did you see that?
If it had gone another way, he'd be talking about it, and my little mouth would not have been bringing up the subject.
I think that is absolutely right. As you see the bat boy kind of looking back and explaining what happened in that situation. If he thought it was a foul ball, but I think he fielded that cleanly. That ball was in play.
Yeah, I'm waiting for one of the ball boys down the line. You know, 2 or 3 times a season you'll see one of the ball boys or ball girls down the line field a ball that's actually fair and then realize it and be embarrassed. I'm looking for one of them to field it and then fire it to the base like they're a fielder.
Try to throw somebody out.
Try to throw somebody out.
Ball's live, and good mechanics, way to clean it. And did he drop it again on purpose? Because that's part of it too. No, I didn't touch it. Go ahead, there it is. Go get it.
That's the best part.
2-1 is swung on and missed from Nico Goodrum, switch hitter. Goodrum's having a good day, 2 for 2 so far. He singled in the first, had a double in the second. That fastball just misses off the corner, and count is now full. I don't have the count in front of me, the total, but yesterday we had 4 3-ball counts. I think we've surpassed that already.
By both
today.
teams?
Yeah, combined. There was only 4 3-ball counts in the entire game. No walks in yesterday's ball game. A really nice pitching matchup between Jordan Zimmerman and Bartolo Colon. Each of them went 8 innings as Matt Moore misses with that fastball on the inside corner, and so it's back-to-back walks here for Matt Moore. Well, the FIFA World Cup semifinals are on Fox and the Fox Sports app. It's going to be France versus Belgium. That is noon Central on Tuesday. Make sure you watch that on Fox. Tommy, you were just talking about it. This awesome bracket that they have. Where is your crew?
Croatia.
Oh, there they are. They're in the semis. We're getting there.
Wow.
We are almost there.
Big day. It must have been a penalty kick shootout with Russia and Croatia.
Where's Team Poland?
Team Poland? I don't know.
They did not advance. But I got my jersey.
It actually has been a pretty, I think, pretty effective promotion by Fox. I never would have watched a game without it.
No doubt. I think that people have been excited. It's unfortunate that the United States was not in the World Cup this year, but outside of that, I agree with you. I think they've done a great job.
I think I've watched enough now and enjoyed it enough to where, even though if in the future I'll probably continue doing it. So that was positive for me. And when they the thing I've liked watching is when they show the crowds. Today they showed the crowd in England at the pubs and the squares, wherever they happen to be, thousands and thousands of them, and the reaction to a goal. You know, I think how excited we get here during a baseball game, during a World Series game. You go to a restaurant or a bar and you see the fans go crazy, but I've never seen it to the level that they were cheering in England today. It was just magnificent to watch how happy they were.
Well, there's a fastball swung on and missed, and John Hicks goes down on 3 pitches. And somebody called us wants to talk about it. StatCast is powered by AWS, and they're going to show us this great play that Rougned Odor made.
That is a great play. You know, we remarked when he made that play, it's not the kind of ball that's a double play ball that you catch and turn a double play on. You can't get in front of that ball. It's hit too hard. And so the only play you've got is to try to time your glove and catch the short hop. And if you do that, it's a simple double play. Victor Martinez was probably only 15 feet toward first base. Elvis just lobbed the ball to first. But the whole play is whether you can catch the ball. And I don't know that Rugi has been working on that particular play. It's pretty hard to simulate that play. But I have seen him at our ballpark working on catching short hops and keeping your glove out in front of you and not letting the ball get in close to your body. So he may not have worked on that exact play, but the extra work he's been doing probably paid off and allowed him to make that play.
This ball is in the dirt, and both runners will advance, and it is the second wild pitch of the inning for Matt Moore, as Castellanos moves up to third, Nico Goodrum to second. You're talking about the crowds and watching the matches and how it's kind of got your interest in soccer a little bit. Atlanta United of the MLS had a crowd of 71,000 at a regular season
at
game.
The football stadium?
Yeah, they play at Mercedes-Benz there in Atlanta.
Wow.
71,000.
Well, soccer, I understand, is getting more and more popular in the United States. Hasn't reached quite the same popularity as it has abroad, but in certain cities it has. And it's not the most popular sport in the world for no reason. It's just incredible to watch the followings that these teams have and how passionate their fans are that follow the teams. I don't know that I'll reach that level rooting for the English team, but it's been a lot of fun.
There's a called strike 3 to Victor Martinez. So back-to-back strikeouts here for Matt Moore. And for a little bit more on the World Cup, let's throw it down to John Radigan.
Yeah, you know, if you want to watch fans watch the World Cup, you have to watch some of these Rangers players. We had the chance to do that yesterday in the clubhouse when Elvis Andrus was making those kind of reactions that Tom was describing when Brazil didn't score a goal. I mean, he was going crazy. He is such a fan of Brazil. In fact, most of the Latin players tell us they are. There was one guy, though, who was seemingly rooting against Brazil and for Belgium in that game. It was Jurickson Profar. I figured it had something to do with Curacao being tied to that country, or maybe he had, you know, the team Belgium in the pool. No, he says, I just like to root against what Elvis is. No, go against Elvis. Yeah.
Now,
I like it.
John, was Elvis a soccer player when he was younger?
They all were huge
okay.
soccer fans. Not as big as baseball, but big soccer fans.
Cool.
Well, lucky for us, they like baseball a little bit more. Nice play by Rougned Odor, and this inning is over. And Matt Moore continues to roll here. 3 2/3 shutout for him so far. score of 7-0. But let's take a look at our Progressive upcoming schedule. We got one more here in Detroit tomorrow. Then it'll be 3 in Boston against the Red Sox. That off day will be coming up on Thursday before the Rangers finish out the first half of the season against the Baltimore Orioles. That All-Star break will be July 16th through the 19th, and then a homestand against the Cleveland Indians and Oakland A's. Robert Torino stepping in here in the 5th inning against Mike Fiers, who's been good so far this afternoon. 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs allowed. He has walked a hitter, and he has struck out 3.
You know, last night's game, Jordan Zimmerman pitched an excellent game. We were talking in last night's game about the 2 prior games to that when he pitched well. Total of 12 innings, only giving up 1 run and 1 walk going into last night's game, and then he pitched even better in last night's game. It's kind of the same with Fiers. They each pitched against the same teams, Oakland at home, Toronto on the road. But Fiers in his last 2 starts against those 2 teams has pitched 15 innings and only given up a couple of runs and a couple of walks. And he's pitching an excellent game as well today. So the Rangers seem to be catching Zimmerman and Fiers while they're in a pretty good streak. 2 nice games coming into this game. Zimmerman terrific yesterday, and Fiers pretty good so far today.
And that 2-1 is on the corner. Count even now 2-2. Chirinos did not like that call. Thought that one was off the plate, and he might have had a pretty good argument.
Yeah, it's in the vicinity of the outside corner.
I thought that was interesting. No movement from McCann. So McCann might have thought it was a strike based on where it was thrown, right? Usually the catcher will give that away a little bit, as this one is taken up and in. Full count now to Chirinos.
And with the ball coming in at 90 miles an hour with a little bit of movement on it, I guess it's kind of tough to discern whether it's, and I don't know, when you see a pitch like that in our strike zone that's just barely off the corner, you know, is that a half an inch? Is it an inch? Not sure how much it is. It's not very much. And it takes a pretty good eye to know exactly where that pitch is going to be.
We got some good news for you guys on Wednesday, July 25th, when the Rangers are playing the A's. Well, that'll be our next Texas Chili Company $1 hot dog night. You can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. With one out in the 5th, Delano DeShields steps in here against Mike Fiers. Delano grounded out to 3rd, back in the 3rd inning to lead things off. 3 base hits, as I mentioned, so far for the Detroit Tigers. Excuse me, for the Rangers. Chu's got a double. Rougned Odor had a double, and also had a base hit from Elvis Andrews. So not a lot of base runners so far, just 4 of them for the Rangers against Fiers in 4 1/3 innings.
Well, Fiers is having a pretty nice little season, playing on a losing team. Got an even record, an ERA well under 4. About a hit per inning, not many walks, less than 2 walks per 9 innings.
Yeah, it's a career best for him. It's kind of been interesting, to watch. There's been, seems like somewhat of a change. He doesn't get nearly the amount of strikeouts he used to get. This is his lowest strikeout rate that he has, but he's been very good. Not walking, guys. Almost seems like he's pitching to contact more, and he's been getting really good results.
Getting good results.
There's
much better results than he's got in the last couple of years, getting strikeouts. His ERA over the last couple of years is upper 4s.
Well, it's time for our Kubota power stats. We were just talking about Mike Fiers and what has happened with his walks a little bit so far. Well, he has had 1 or fewer walks in 13 of his 16 starts this season. That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty good.
That's how you get to a career low walk rate if you're Mike Fiers.
He's walked 1 so far today. Walked Joey Gallo.
Chu goes swinging at the first pitch. It's a high fly ball to left field, and this one is going to get down, and it's going to get over the wall and into the Ranger bullpen. So a ground rule double for Chu, his 2nd double of the game.
I don't care who's pitching or how well he's throwing. They can't get Chu out right now. Fastball, boy, if you throw him a fastball belt high and out over the plate, it's getting hit, and usually getting hit hard. He's just pounding the fastball, and I think we showed his hot zone, showed how well he hits the ball up and away. Not many left-hand hitters consistently hit that pitch as hard to left field as he does. None of them have in this streak that he's in. As an on-base percentage coming into the game during his streak of 469, it's over 470 now. So over that 45-game period, his on-base percentage has been the highest in Major League Baseball, which stands to reason when you're in that kind of a streak. He has his on-base percentage for the season now over 40%.
That one looked like it bothered Elvis a little bit. I'm not sure I've ever seen a hitter go out that far after fouling a ball off what looked like maybe his ankle. Oh, gosh.
He's got the guard on that foot, but I don't think that blocked it.
Did that almost hit him in the knee?
Yeah, it hit
pretty close.
It hit below the knee and above his guard.
Move it up higher.
Yeah, you're going to get a longer one.
Too late. You know he's going to foul one off his ankle now, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he slides it up. Just go up there where catcher shin guards. You'll be fine. It was a 2-out double for Chu, the third double for the Rangers this afternoon against Mike Fiers. None of those obviously have come around to score, as the Tigers are leading the Rangers 7-0. The Rangers so far 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. There's a fastball in the outside corner, count 1-2. On the flip side, the Tigers so far this afternoon 3 for 11, and so 16 at bats combined in this game with runners in scoring position. We failed to mention this last night, and pretty amazing after the fact. There were only 2 at bats with runners in scoring position yesterday. Both teams were 0 for 1.
Wow. Rangers had 3 at bats in the first inning with a man in scoring position.
Well, Elvis chases a breaking ball, so he goes down on strikes. 5 strikeouts now for Mike Fiers, and he's still got the shutout going through 5.
Look at our Ford game summary and check Matt Moore out. Matt's come into the game in relief of Cole Hamels, pitched 3 1/3 and pitched pretty well. He's had 4 strikeouts in the game. Nice curveball, nice cut fastball, good fastball away. His fastball today has been in the 94, 95 mile an hour range, and both of those last 2 strikeouts, exact same pitch, mid-90s fastball on the outside corner. So Matt throwing the ball well. He's walked 4 and struck out 4. but he's shown some pretty good stuff so far. He's had 66 pitches, and as we said when he came in, he'll be approaching this just like a start. Pitch as long as he can.
He gets a little ground ball, Tapper back to himself, and he flips over to first for an easy out, and James McCann is retired here to kick off the 5th inning. This will be interesting to see as far as Matt Moore and how long he can go. He looks really sharp so far. He's done a nice job of pitching around the base runners that he has had. You mentioned the 4 walks, the 1 base hit so far up to this point. He's been out of the rotation for a while now, and he's been in this role. And for Matt Moore, of course, the pitch count has come down significantly. The last start that he made was on June 10th, so it's been just right around a month for Matt Moore. He only threw 50 pitches in that game. So go back to June 5th, the start before that, where he got up to 98 pitches. You see the 68 that he has. That is the highest of any outing that he's had so far as a reliever. Now, I wonder about that. I mean, I've done both. I've gone back and forth, but the idea of after spending a month or so in the bullpen, of course your stamina is going to come down a little bit. The idea of being able to hold your stuff and have your best fastball and breaking ball into the 70s and 80s of a pitch count certainly I think would be a challenge for Matt Moore, but so far so good as he has just thrown pitch number 70. No action though in the Ranger bullpen, and there's no action in the Tiger bullpen either, for whatever that's worth. This one is lined down the left field line. It's going to get down and roll to the wall. Jose Iglesias is around first, and he'll take the 1-out stand-up double against Matt Moore.
That looked like maybe a cut fastball that stayed right in the middle of the plate. Velocity a little bit less than his fastball. Iglesias didn't have any problem getting the head of the bat out and drilling that one to left field. Iglesias came into the game hitting .270. He was the Tigers Player of the Month in June when he hit over 300. He's playing some good baseball.
It was interesting. The cut fastball for Matt Moore, the story was when he got to the Tigers this offseason. No, the Rangers, my goodness. When he came to the Rangers this offseason, that he would kind of get rid of the cutter.
Yeah.
Right? And a couple starts in, I think he realized he missed it. I think he also saw the success that Cole Hamels was having with his cutter, especially against a team like the Astros. And so the cutter started coming back a little bit for Matt Moore. So he's now thrown that pitch 9% of the time this year, which may not sound like a lot. Last year he was throwing that pitch 15% of the time. So not as much, but not completely eliminated, as we were talking about during spring training and even at the very beginning of the season. And it's hard, you know. I think there's something about for pitchers when that velocity starts to come down. We've seen this a lot, right? You learn that cutter, and it's just kind of nice to have something that's a little bit off your fastball, but it's not straight. Yeah, and it's easy to kind of get comfortable.
Does that cause you to lose your velocity?
That's been a conversation that's happened around the game, as you see Jacoby Jones getting hit by a pitch, and he'll take his base. You know, there's a lot of back and forth on that, on whether there's validity to it, but there have been pitchers that have become so reliant on the cutter that the fastball velocity starts to go down.
Did you throw a cutter?
I did. Mine was a little bit more like a small slider. And, you know, you and I meant to bring this up yesterday. We were talking about it. Sometimes it's just a matter of what you say it is, as opposed to what it really is, right? Like Jose Leclerc is a good example of his cut changeup. Well, the way he throws it, it's really a slider based on how it spins. But for him, he'd rather just say it's a cut changeup, and that works. And you know what? It's such a great pitch. Call it whatever you want. And so it's the same thing. I went through that, and other guys will go through that and say, yeah, it's a cutter. Well, really what it is, it's a small slider. You just throw as hard as you can and don't try to get it to break as much, as opposed to the natural four-seam cutter that Kenley Jansen throws and others. But there's something about being able to just, you know, you like seeing that little bit of movement. It just makes you feel better. It makes it feel like it'd be harder for hitters to square it up.
If you can harness it, it just makes it a little bit easier for you to miss the barrel of the bat if you can make it move a little bit. I remember K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, when he first came up and saving all those games for the Angels, he called that hard breaking ball a slider, but it really looked like a curveball. But like you say, he wants to call it a slider, then it's a slider. But if you don't know what the pitcher calls it and you just saw it, I'm calling it a curveball and I'm calling Leclerc's pitch a slider.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. And I think
I
now
mean, you could throw a fastball and say it's your knuckleball. Does that mean we're going to start calling it a knuckleball?
Well, the problem that these guys run into now is they used to be able to, like you said, call whatever you want, but with all the information that they can track and the data that they can get, they could say, well, here's the velocity range, here's the spin rate range, here's how it's spinning in the break.
Yeah.
So it kind of classifies as this.
It is now a slider,
Yeah.
not a changeup.
The internet and all this information and technology, they ruin everything because you can't lie anymore. And they'll get you on that one. And for Matt Moore, that cutter, as we just were talking about. Now, here's the other part of it, right? You talked about not wanting, throwing that pitch so guys don't square it up as much, right? And the exit velocity, another number that we have access to on his cutter this year, 88 miles an hour, as opposed to his four-seamer, that exit velocity has been 93. So the four-seam fastball has gotten squared up a little bit more. 93 on the four-seamer, 88 on the cutter.
Well, that would, if you're throwing your cutter the way you want to, I would expect the exit velocity on the cutter to be less than the fastball, because that movement, if it's 2 or 3 inches, might take it from the barrel of the bat off the barrel of the bat, and if you don't hit it on the barrel of the bat, it's not going to jump off the bat the same way. So I could see that. There's a curveball, and a well-thrown curveball for a strikeout. 5th strikeout, Matt.
And no home runs on the cutter this year for Matt Moore. 5 of them have come off the four-seam fastball. The batting average against that pitch has been high this year, 467. But batting averages, we've come to kind of realize and accept, it doesn't necessarily tell you the entire story on the pitch. But the curveball still has been, I think, the best of the group, as you just saw that really good one there that Matt Moore used to strike out Mikey Matuk, who, by the way, now has struck out 3 times this afternoon.
Yeah, this will be Matt's 82nd pitch, so based on his usage the last month, he's got to be zeroing in on the end of this outing. Still throwing well, though, 93 miles an hour there. Alex Claudio starting to loosen up in the Ranger bullpen.
If Matt Moore can get through this one, you certainly would be pretty happy with his outing. It's been an even 4 innings up to this point, 4 1/3 if he can get through Castellanos, who, of course, is a great challenge for lefties. We covered this and talked about it. Came into this one hitting .432 against lefties. He's 1 for 2 so far today, so that average will go up a little bit unless Matt Moore can get him out right here. Castellanos hit his 15th home run of the season. Also drove in his 55th RBI of the year. Had a very nice year, made a nice play in the outfield. Really starting to settle in. 4+ player for Castellanos when you look at his service time, which makes you wonder just a little bit what his future will be here in Detroit. He's a year away from free agency after this year. Not signed to a multi-year deal.
That's a pretty red hit zone against left-handed pitching. Looks like your best shot is throw him up and away. Likes the ball up and in. And boy, if you throw it belt high, he likes it anywhere, inside or outside.
2-2, and there is a curveball down and in, and a nice job by Matt Moore to finish off Castellanos. And so the good work of Matt Moore continues as you see Nomar Mazara running in. He'll lead things off here for the Rangers in the 6th. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that as we are here now in the top of the 6th inning. The Rangers trying to get on the board. Nomar Mazara is going to be leading things off. He takes a first pitch strike at the bottom of the zone. 88 miles an hour from Mike Fiers, which has been the range for him for the most part here this afternoon. Throwing the ball well. His fastball's been 87 to 92 as Nomar chases one out of the zone. Curveball 73 miles an hour.
Yeah, pretty nice curveball too. Kind of talking about Fiers and the improvements he's made this season. He's also pitched really well in this ballpark. He's had 10 starts here coming into the game. His ERA is under 3. Just mentioned that Iglesias was the player of the month in June. Fiers was the pitcher of the month in June for the Tigers. Tigers didn't play very well in June. He was 1-2, but he was the pitcher of the month. Nice ERA though.
And here's the 0-2, and Nomar Mazara tried to hold up his swing, and he did. So the count goes 1-2.
Good call. Hands came forward, but the bat stayed back.
The 1-2. There's another breaking ball off the plate. Count even 2-2 to Nomar Mazara. So far this afternoon for Nomar, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Was looking back in the 3rd inning. 5 strikeouts so far for Mike Fiers.
Well, Fiers hadn't given up that many hits. He's only walked 1 batter, but he's thrown 90 pitches. So he's going to have to hustle to get through 6 innings today.
Full count pitch, and there is a fastball taken, called strike 3 at 90 miles an hour at the knees. Somewhat similar to what we saw Nomar strike out in the 3rd inning, which was a fastball that was about 88 at the knees. Well, thanks to T-Mobile, fans can get a 20% discount on Fridays for the all-you-can-eat seats in the home run porch. Get tickets for Friday, July 20th by visiting TexasRangers.com/specials.
Fiers had a nice curveball today. He's one of those guys whose fastball plays better for him than the velocity might indicate. Fastball, you know, right around 90, below average fastball really. But I think his delivery plays a part in that. The deception. Holds the ball kind of behind his body. His glove goes high up in the air, straight over the top. Would appear that the way the players react to his pitches, that gets in on him a little quicker than the velocity might indicate.
Well, Adrian Beltre lifts one deep to left field. Jones jumps up and he makes the catch.
Wow.
Wow, Jacoby Jones goes up over the wall and robs Adrian Beltre of a home run, and that was going to be easily over the wall. Adrian thought he had number 5. He's smiling now, but I can't imagine he's that happy about what he just saw.
No, this is one of those balls. When a guy waits for the ball and jumps, it's a fairly easy catch. But when you're on the run, timing it, and you go up over the wall like that, that's exceptional. And you'll be watching that one when they go for the plays of the month, and maybe when they watch them at the end of the year, it might even register on that one. That was a beautiful play. On the run, timed it perfectly, went up and caught it and took it back. That's just a beautiful play. I don't get too excited when a guy goes back to the ball, waits for it, jumps up and catches it. That's not that hard. But when he's on the run like that, that's something to hang your hat on. That was a nice play. Better than a nice play.
Probably give him a 5-star catch on that one.
I'd have to give him a 5-star catch.
I know you can't wait to see what the catch.
We don't like the defensive metrics. If it says the catch rate on that was 60%, then we've got a problem. The catch probability, that's gone.
Well, Rugen Odor turns on one, and nobody is catching that one. Way out of here for Rugen Odor, and home run number 5 for Rugi. He gets the Rangers on the board, and he continues to swing the bat very well.
Sorry to mess up your home run call
right.
there. We kind of,
they're not that great anyway.
That home run snuck right up on us there. Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what the catch probability was. And that Ruge got a pitch right in the center square and put his head down, dropped his bat, didn't even bother to look where that one was going. That had to be in the 1% range.
Jerks and Profar takes the first pitch change, but it's really a split kind of change, not a full split finger that Mike Fiers throws. That's also been a very good pitch for him today. You were talking about that deception and how he's been. I think that split changeup that he has, the curveball, even though he's only thrown 5 of the 13 curveballs he's thrown today for strikes, I think gives him a chance on that fastball as Jerks and Profar lifts a high fly ball to right center field. Castellanos is there, makes the catch, and the inning is over. But not before some excitement here in the top of the 6th inning at Comerica Park. We saw a home run that was robbed, and we'll take a look at it right here. Nice play by Jacoby Jones, and then Rougned Odor answers next batter a bomb that no one could catch. This was a big one, Tom.
Yeah, that pitch is right in his wheelhouse, and he put a perfect swing on it and hit it right in the barrel of the bat. 103 miles an hour for Ruge, 392 feet. To get a 420, he probably would have had to hit it a little higher launch angle than that. That was a line drive, no doubt about it. Got out of here in a hurry.
So Alex Claudio now comes on for Matt Moore, who was excellent in his relief role. When it was all said and done, he took over for Cole Hamels in the first inning. He went 4 1/3, 2 hits, no runs allowed. Did walk 4, but struck out 6. Now you see the numbers for Alex Claudio this season. All right, so we're going to pick on StatCast here a little bit, and then I think I actually realize why they are where they are with this. If I told you that Rougned Odor's home run only had an 87% hit probability, you might have the same initial reaction that I had, which is, what? How does that make any sense?
Because it almost went foul?
No, I think because we showed the distance there, what, 396?
Yeah.
So if he hits that to dead center, it's probably a flyout, right? Because it's 420 here. So I think it's not so much a direction, but the height, the distance, the exit velocity, everything else. So I first saw, I was like, what do you mean? That's 100% home run every single time. But that makes a little bit of sense. One hopper to Elvis Andrus. Long throw to first, and Goodrum is going to be able to beat it out. We've talked about his speed. He shows it off right there. Elvis Andrus did everything he possibly could, but it is an infield hit, and the third hit for Nico Goodrum this afternoon.
Yeah, that's just a play where the defense couldn't do anything better than they did it. The ball is going to take a big hop in the hole. Elvis knows he has to get rid of it quickly. Jurickson has to catch it on a hop, does the splits, and he still wasn't out. That's just a case of no one could have made that play, because I don't think they could do it any better than that.
Goodrum, by the way, now has been on base in all four of his plate appearances, 2 singles, a double, and a walk. There's John Hicks steps in and swings and misses at strike 1. 1 for 2 so far this afternoon for Hicks, a single, a walk. You see the RBI and the run scored back in the first inning. So I'm going to put myself out there a little bit. I ended up stepping all over myself like I often do. But you're asking catch probability. I don't know where to look that up quickly, but I can see hit probability for Adrian Beltre's hit. It was 81%. I'll assume that means the catch probability was 19%. Maybe not. Maybe those two things don't work together.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because I know that the people that I've talked to with StatCast are still working on adjusting some of what they do for the wall. Right, it's one thing because of the wall he went up, where they can look at the distance, they can look at the hang time, how far someone had to go, and say, well, how often does that ball get caught? But when you have to go up over the wall, I think it's a little bit more difficult for them to throw that into an algorithm and spit out a percentage for you that makes sense.
Well, they've got to come up with a way to say that Rugned's ball was 100% home run probability.
It was off the bat. He knew it.
If it's going 392 feet and it's 330 feet, it's got to be 100%. They got to factor in the position of the ball in the ballpark.
When 2 from Claudio is fouled. 86 miles an hour on that fastball from Alex.
So the hit probability on his was what?
81%.
Okay, so if he hits that same ball at that same exit velocity, 392 feet, can the center fielder get back and catch it? I guess he can sometimes.
You're talking about Adrian's hit?
No,
Rugi's. Rugi's hit probability was 87.
87%. Okay.
This one is lifted to center field. Delano DeShields is there. He makes the catch, and there's one out here in the 6th. And now let's take a moment to hear a word from our friends at Kia.
At Kia, get America's best value backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
So if there's anybody that's really familiar with StatCast right now, they're probably pulling their hair out listening to us talk about this as we try to add the numbers up. I'm wondering, I think that maybe is right, maybe it's not. Hit probability on Adrian's ball 81% tells me maybe the catch probability was 19%. But for Adrian, if he hits that ball 5 feet to the left, it's a home run.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that the catch probability had to be less than 19% on that.
But I think, and the issue again becomes the wall and how they factor in.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous play. No two ways about it. Victor Martinez steps in here against Alex Claudio, and he pops one up. Shallow center field, and Delano DeShields come over, and he cannot come up with it. He slides to try to make the catch, but it popped out of his glove. Nomar Mazar picks the ball up and throws it into Elvis Andrus, and so it'll be a base hit for Victor Martinez, and Nico Goodrum ends up at second base.
Try by Delano. You can see he started fairly shallow in right center field, but that ball was dying, tailing away slightly from him. Gave it a great effort. Just couldn't quite come up with it. So here's another one. When they do the hit probability, are they factoring in exactly where the outfielder is positioned and how fast he runs?
It's a great question, and unfortunately,
because if they're not, then to me it doesn't mean anything.
You know what? I'm going to guess that they probably do. They have all that information there for them.
Like if you're just saying if that ball's hit, regardless of who the outfielder is or where he's playing, he's going to catch it X% of the time. That particular ball in that instance is meaningless because you might have a slower outfielder or a faster outfielder playing deeper or playing shallower. What we need is a seminar to be educated on this so we sound smarter.
Well, we start asking them questions. We were asking some questions to pass the Fox seminar this past winter. And I could say, oh, this guy started to sweat a little bit. You start bringing some questions and throwing a bunch of different things at them all at once. And they do a really good job. And these guys work really hard to put together some really good information. And their intent is really good. But it's always, I think it's just like anything, right? With a team, we talked about this earlier. Take your analytics, take your baseball people, your scouts. Let's get together. Let's come up with a really good game plan. I think the same thing happens for us here in the broadcast booth that we got great information and access to it. Well, let's make sure we're all on the same page and that we make it digestible for people that are watching the game, and then we'll be able to answer those questions as well.
If I'm watching the game today, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm listening to Tom and CJ. They were both ball players. They have a lot of baseball information. If they don't know what these analytics mean, how the heck are we supposed to know?
And it's usually the defensive ones, things like catch probability, that require a little bit more time as far as getting it exactly right. 2-2 now here to Candelario, and Alex Claudio, sidearm lefty, and he gets the swing and the miss, and Candelario is down on strike. So good job by Alex to get the second out of this inning. Candelario is now 0 for 3.
Nice pitch. Alex Claudio has been a solid reliever for the Rangers since he's been here. Last year, he was incredible the way he mixed in his changeup and the rest of his pitches. He's gotten hit a little bit this year, but every time he goes out there, regardless of what he's done, regardless of what his ERA is, you feel good seeing him out there because you know he's going to give it his best shot. He's going to throw strikes. Sometimes he's going to be hit, but feel confident when he's out there.
And remember first of all, he was really consistent last year, wire to wire, as you were talking about. But then also remember, he took over that closer role and was fantastic.
Yeah.
Just a guy that when it comes to the splits, because of the great changeup, you trust him against good right-handed hitters. And it was a monster year last year for Alex Claudio. Finished with a 2.50 ERA with those 11 saves. I'm sure the ERA has been a little bit higher, but he's also been used in that shorter kind of traditional left-handed relief role. Because of that, you have a couple of bad outings, 1 or 2, and your ERA is going to get inflated pretty quickly, and it's tough to get it down. I think Alex ran into that. He had a rough one against the Astros early on in the season. But this is still the same guy with the same stuff. There's the 0-2 to McCann. Breaking ball just misses off the plate. Alex had 2 outings. One was against the Mariners, one against the Dodgers, in which he allowed 4 runs, and then there was that 3-run outing against the Houston Astros. So those 3 outings combined, he went 2 2/3, but he allowed 11 earned runs. That's more than half of the runs that he's allowed. Excuse me, well more than half of the earned runs that he's allowed this season.
Yeah, in situations like that, it's almost not fair to judge the reliever by his ERA. And if you take those away and his ERA drops a run, that's really who he is, not just what happened in those 2 games.
My last year here, when I was pitching in Detroit, I had an okay year, but I had 4 outings where I went and combined 1 inning. So it was a third of an inning, third inning, third, and then 1 I didn't get anybody out, and I allowed 15 earned runs. I mean, it was a killer. And you don't recover from that. The other 57 games.
That game was like 175.
The other 57 games were pretty decent. Those 4 were an absolute disaster. And this one is.
If you had to go to salary arbitration, that would have been your argument right there.
I got released instead. Fly ball to right field, to second base. That Rougned Odor pulls in. We're going to get a shot to look at Joey Gallo. He is fun when it comes to StatCast. Let's see if he can do something fun when we get back. By Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, we're back here. There it is, beautiful downtown Detroit. It has been a gorgeous afternoon, but not so much for the Rangers as they trail 7-1. And make sure you host your next group or company outing of 20 or more at a Rangers game. And on picnic areas, meal deals, or other experiences to make your group outing memorable, visit texasrangers.com/groups. Joey Gallo steps in and swings against Blaine Hardy, the new lefty that is in for the Tigers.
16th game for Hardy. He's throwing pretty well. Nice ERA. 35 strikeouts, fastball, changeup, and a curveball.
This one hit to the right side. And an easy play for Hicks as he steps on the bag, and Joey Gallo is retired.
And Hardy's major league career, his career ERA is 3.62. Last year wasn't that good for him. He pitched for the Tigers for a good part of the year, had a 5.94 ERA. Prior to that, he pitched pretty well.
It's the first pitch fastball, 88 miles an hour, just off the plate. Interesting because Robinson Chirinos in his last at bat not happy with the fastball outside that was called. That one actually looked a little bit better when it was called the ball. The 2-1 from Hardy, swung on and fouled, count even, 2-2. Well, all the damage done so far by the Detroit Tigers offense happened in the first inning. Cole Hamels started this game, lasted just 2/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 runs, just 3 of those were earned as Robinson Chirinos swings and misses at an 86-mile-an-hour slider. 2 outs. There was a hard line drive hit to center field by Jacoby Jones that this man right here, Delano DeShields, unfortunately was unable to handle. That led to 4 more unearned runs. That has been it, though, for the Tiger offense up to this point. And for the Rangers, the 1 run that they scored came on Rougned Odor's 5th home run of the season back in the 6th inning. The 2-1 from Hardy is swung on and missed, 86 miles an hour. Count even, 2-2. Delano DeShields. Delano's 0 for 2 today. Struck out in the 5th, grounded out to 3rd in the 3rd. Good outing for Mike Fiers. 6 innings worth of work for him. 5 hits, just a 1 run. Walked 1 and struck out 6. And the changeup is swung on and missed, and Delano DeShields goes down on strike. So back-to-back strikeouts for Hardy. 7th inning is over. We'll be back here on Fox Sports Southwest. Trail the Rangers by a score of 7-1. Well, the Home Run Derby mobile game is back with more competition, more challenge, and more dingers than ever before. Make sure you enter the code ALLSTARDC to unlock exclusive All-Star gear at MLB.com/HRD game. That stands for Home Run Derby. Just figured that out all by myself.
I'm glad you did. Would have gone right over my head.
Alex Claudio is out for his second inning of work here against the Tigers. A couple of base hits against him in his last inning, but no runs across the board as he gets this little dribbler back to him from Jose Iglesias, and he throws over to Jurickson Profar for the first out. Let's throw it back to our studios and get a Chevy game break. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, things getting very interesting in that American League East. It has become, for the most part, just a two-team race. I'm not sure anybody else can challenge both the Red Sox and the Yankees. And by the way, the Red Sox now 60 wins on the season. We'll see them next week.
That's a race, even with a wild card, that's a race that they're going to battle right to the end and try to win it. The last thing you want to do, one of those teams is probably going to win 100 games and then have to play a one-game playoff. That's just,
yeah, I don't love that
tough.
part of how we do things. I get divisional play, and it's happened before. Remember the Pittsburgh Pirates? They won 98 games. They had to be a wild card team. I think it was 2015. If I'm not mistaken. And it seems to me that if you're going to win that many games, if they're, listen, if you somehow have that many wins and you're the 5th or 6th best team in baseball, okay, I get it. You're a wild card team or have to fight for a wild card, but the odds of that are pretty slim.
Yeah.
And you should probably have earned your way into a series, into the postseason.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And so if one of those teams plays Seattle, they have to face James Paxton. So I mean, it's not like they're looking at being favored by a mile in that game.
Without a doubt. Right now the Seattle Mariners 56-33. They're only 2.5 games back of the Houston Astros, but certainly looking like potentially that they could be that second wild card team. This one is a line down the right field line by Jones. That'll go foul. Let's check out our big story of the day. And we were just talking about the Boston Red Sox and the year that they are having. Well, yesterday was a big one for them. They beat the Kansas City Royals by a score of 10-5. But Chris Sale picks up his 100th career win, while Mookie Betts was out there picking up his 100th career home run. And as we just mentioned, that is their 60th win, most in Major League Baseball, by a pretty good amount, 4 more than the New York Yankees. I take that back. The Astros have 59 wins, so just one more. But nevertheless, it's been a good year for the Red Sox. The American League East getting very, very interesting. Along those lines, you're mentioning James Paxton, and I've mentioned this before, but just kind of seems odd, and most likely looks like this is the way it could go down when it's all said and done. But that Jurickson Profar, excuse me, that's Ruben Odor, fields that line drive over to Profar for the second out. But King Felix has been the ace in Seattle. He's a different guy now, right? The velocity's come down. The stuff's not the same. He's never pitched in the postseason.
Right.
He's been in the big league since he was 20 years old. He's, what, 32 years old now. And if they only get to a wild card, he's probably still not going to pitch in the postseason unless they're able to advance, which it makes perfect sense. It's just kind of unfortunate for Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, I hope he gets a chance to pitch in the postseason, but it's a shame if he does that it'll be just a shell of what King Felix used to be.
Mikey Maktuk has struck out 3 times today as he lines one to right field and gets himself a base hit, his second hit of the game. So he is now 2 for 5 with a double and a single to go along with those 3 strikeouts. So a 2-out base hit for Maktuk, and that'll bring up Nicholas Castellanos.
Well, Castellanos in the first inning launched one to left field. That's over the regular wall in left field. Hit that one pretty well. So he's got the home run on his ledger, and then he makes a nice play against Ruby, take an extra base hit away from him. So early in the game, a home run and a very nice defensive play to go along with it.
And we showed that hit zone for him against lefties, and down and in seemed like a pretty decent spot. I think Cole Hamels thought that because it looked like he hit a spot trying to go down and into Castellanos. And you see, well, he's hitting 200, in that area. He's not hitting 0. All right, so that's kind of part of it.
Right.
So you see it there. There it is, 200 down and in versus lefties.
Yeah, you pitch to that, and you know the odds are in your favor if you make your pitch, but there's no guarantee, right? Just like the shift. You can put a shift on. Doesn't mean the guy's always going to hit it there. You'll take a lot of hits away more often than not. That's why you do it. But occasionally you're going to get beat.
And we highlighted that Castellanos came into this game leading batting average against left-handed pitching this year. He's been absolutely crushing it. .432 coming into this one. Well, this is now his 5th plate appearance, and they've all come against left-handed pitchers. And with Cole Hamels getting knocked out in the first inning, you think, well, how could that happen? Well, Matt Moore, the long man here, and now Alex Claudio on. And he's certainly not your typical lefty. There he is. That was coming into today. .432. Arenado right behind him with Merrifield. Some speculation today about Whit Merrifield and some teams that were interested in potentially acquiring him. Francisco Lindor on that list as well. Milwaukee Brewers linked to Whit Merrifield today. Good emergency swing from Castellanos to stay alive against Claudio.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield would be a good guy to pick up. He's a good ball player.
Really, he's such
does
a good
everything
story,
pretty well.
He was on the roster for 3 years, never got called up. They had to take him off, cleared waivers. Any team could have taken him for free. He hadn't been in the big leagues yet, and then all of a sudden he starts having this great career. This game is kind of crazy sometimes.
Try to figure that one out. That's one where analytics missed it and the scouts missed it.
And Castellanos swings and misses and goes down on strike. So it's a couple of strikeouts for Castellanos in his last 2 at-bats, and a nice job by Alex Claudio. When we get back, Shin-Soo Choo will be leading things off for the Rangers. Couple of doubles so far already this afternoon.
And it's Shin-Soo Choo. Right off the bat, the first pitch of the game, he extended his streak to 46 games with a double off the wall. And then for good measure, a little later in the ball game, he hits a double to left field. So on the day, 2 for 3 and a couple of doubles. He's extended his on-base streak to 46 games. And in the top of the 8th inning, he leads off for the Rangers.
Impressive list there. Julio Franco probably could still put together a 10 or 15 game hitting streak.
Well, he hit a home run in the big leagues when he was 50, I think. Close to it, maybe.
Well, Choo goes swinging at the first pitch once again. It's a high fly ball to right center field, but Jones is there to make the catch.
He just missed that one, too.
So I got some clarification. People at StatCast were nice enough to answer my email.
Oh, great.
And as you probably would guess, I'll take the blame. I absolutely butchered that entire thing. So you can't take hit probability, subtract it from 100 and say, well, that was the catch probability. So even though Adrian Beltre's robbed home run had an 81% hit probability, does not mean that it was a 90% catch probability. And they said because hit probability is just based on exit velocity, launch angle of the ball. Has nothing to do with where people are playing. So that's kind of good to know, and that makes sense. That's certainly the right way to do it. Catch probability, on the other hand, as David Adler tells me here, is that it's based on how far the fielder needed to go to catch that specific hit and how much time he had to get there. So that's pretty fair. They still have a little bit of an issue with the wall, so they do take the defensive player's positioning where he is when they start factoring in catch probability. And as he mentioned, unfortunately, catch probability doesn't work well on the Beltre play because it was a time jump at the wall, and they just have a hard time because, you know, a guy starts to slow down at that point. Even though it wasn't a sit at the wall and jump, he still is somewhat of a timing play and had to deal with the wall, which is all perfectly fair and reasonable.
So do they factor in not only where the outfielder was playing, but how fast he can run? Or is it just for all outfielders?
Then it's for everybody. Yeah, that one I do know the answer to.
Okay.
So that's one of 40 questions I was able to answer.
So what might be just for the sake of argument, a 60% probability of being a catch for an average outfielder, it might be a 75% chance if the guy's a faster runner.
No doubt.
Okay.
Yep, no doubt.
Right.
I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's why they have those averages out there, and that's how you end up getting higher star catches based on hit probabilities. This one is grounded to short. Iglesias throws out Elvis Andrews. Let's throw it down to John Radigan, who's got a little injury update for us.
Yeah, you know, Martin Perez had his final rehab start, we feel like, and he definitely felt like he doesn't need another one. He had 2 and felt like he was ready after those 2. And the last one, look at the numbers in all 3, but the last one he said he felt great. He feels like he is ready to get back into the Rangers starting rotation. And Banny said today, Martin had a bullpen today. They're going to see how he responds from that, but as long as he responds well, the next step is for him to be back into the rotation. So we would expect that at some point during this road trip, guys, Martin Perez will be back in the rotation. And he says he feels 100%, feels none of the pain that he was feeling in that non-throwing elbow when he went back on the disabled list back in May.
Well, that's
great
news, huh, Tom?
Boy, based on those numbers, I would think he was feeling pretty good. I don't care where you're pitching, A-ball, rookie league, those numbers are great.
Well, Nomar Mazara gets himself a base hit on a ground ball up the middle, and so with 2 outs, Mazara registers his first hit of the game. You know, I was really excited for Martin Perez this season. He looked really good at the end of spring training. I thought, man, he is ready, and he talked about it a lot, and we all know how hard he works and how determined he was, and it seemed like he was kind of poised to have a huge year. And didn't happen. He got off to a slow start, and then they realized that maybe that right elbow was still bothering him a little bit and trying to push through it. So they're being a little bit more careful. And now the reality is for Martin Perez, as we see Carlos Tocci come off the bench and run for Nomar Mazara, I think the reality is for Martin, the idea of he gets activated on this trip in the last 2.5 months of the season, just trying to finish strong, start thinking about 2019.
Yeah, well, he could, you know, have however many starts, 10, 14 starts, whatever it adds up to by the end of the year. So he's got plenty of time to put some numbers up and feel good about his season.
There's a ground ball hit to the right side, but nobody is at first base, and Adrian Beltre crosses the finish line with the antlers, the hands in the air. He seemed pretty excited about his first hit of the afternoon.
He went through first base like a sprinter going through the tape. Well, just like Benji Molina's triple was hit to a perfect spot, that little dribbler was hit to a perfect spot. And Adrian goes through the first base bag.
Winner.
With his hands up in the air.
Well, probably for Adrian. First of all, Blaine Hardy's got to be over there. He didn't get over there in time to cover first base. But at the same time, think about his last 2 at-bats. He hit a ball 401 feet that cleared the wall, but Jacoby Jones brought it back. Now we just hit that little dribbler, but that turns into a base hit, and the other one was just an F8. So Adrian feeling pretty good about that one based on what happened in his last at-bat.
Hit 31.09. One behind Dave Winfield for 20th place.
So it's Beltre at first, pinch runner Carlos Tocci at second, and Rougned Odor, who homered in his last at-bat in the 6th inning, on to face Blaine Hardy. And the 0-1 pitch is swung on and fouled, 0-2. Well, you just mentioned that, Tom, and there is the list. Some pretty impressive names as Adrian Beltre continues to climb up that all-time hit list.
Yeah, it's a great list, obviously, when you get that high up. They're all Hall of Famers. And when you get that high up, they're all bunched together pretty much, too. So if you have a couple of hot weeks, you can make some pretty good progress.
Hardy ready to deliver his 0-2 to Odor, and that one is fouled by Ruge. Hardy's been very good in these spots. 184 against left-handed hitters this year, 283 against those righties. Not a huge swing and miss guy, just a 6.4 strikeout per 9. The numbers get a little bit better against lefties, but he's got an excellent walk rate at 2.4 on the season.
Jeff just pointed something out to me. Adrian's last 2 at-bats, he's got a 401-foot out that went over the fence and a little dribbler for a single. So the success rate on the ground ball was better than the success rate on the 401-foot out.
Hardy now ready to deliver his 1-2 to Odor, and there is a pitch at the top of the zone called a ball. Count even 2-2. Another good crowd here at Comerica Park. They've had some good ones the 3 games that we have been here so far. Announced tickets sold of 29,174. Last night's game had 27,000, and the opener on Thursday we saw 21,000. Now they do tickets sold here. Different ballparks handle it differently. In Miami this season, they have been going by true attendance. The Marlins have seen some pretty low numbers as Ruge fouls off another pitch. They've been in the 6,000s somewhat consistently down in Miami.
First 2 years in Texas, that's about what we averaged. If you added up the total attendance the first 2 years, I think it was under 1.5 million. Probably well under 1.5 million.
This one fouled straight back, and so Odor continues to put the good at bat together. Tom, you are correct. 1972.
What were
Rangers,
the numbers?
662,000. 1973, 686,000. So right around just over 1.3 million. And things started to pick up in 74. 1.1. It was a pretty consistent run for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I can remember that first year. Billy Martin was managing. He came out with a record called the Turnaround Gang. We drew 1 million fans for the first time, and they gave away a keychain commemorating 1 million fans. Today, if the Rangers draw 1 million people, 40 people will get fired.
Well, they've already cleared 1 million this year. 1.3 for the Rangers already this season.
But back then, drawing 1 million people was a milestone, and it was a huge point in time for the franchise, really.
There's a pitch to Odor and another foul ball. You mentioned the 1 million. That was the first time the Rangers did that in 74. They hit 2 million in 1989. And they hit the 3 million mark in 2012. That has been a franchise best. It's a year in which the Rangers won 93 games, 3.4 million fans.
Boy, that's a lot of fans. That's
on paper.
40,000 a night. I remember when Toronto drew, I think they drew 4 million. They drew 50,000 plus for 80 games. Every game you went to in Toronto felt like a playoff game. Bands playing outside. Every ticket sold. That was an exciting time. Then there was a labor stoppage and the people stopped going to the games.
That was ruled a pass ball. By the way, 10th pitch of the at bat for Rougned Odor, who was quickly down 0-2 and has done a nice job of continuing this at bat. You see him now here in a full count and getting ready to look at pitch number 11 from Hardy. Inside called, strike 3, and so Hardy makes the pitch that he has to make to finish off the inning. Couple strikeouts for him. We're going to head to the bottom of the 8th here at Comerica Park. You heard this one before, because there's an opportunity to host your next group or company outing of 20 or more at a Rangers game. Add on picnic areas, meal deals, or other experiences to make your group outing memorable. Visit TexasRangers.com/groups. Carlos Tocci stays in the game for the Rangers. He'll be in right field. He pinch ran for Nomar Mazara. And Alex Claudio is now back out for his 3rd inning of work. There's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's taken over at third base for Adrian Beltre.
Check out what the Ranger bullpen has done today in this ball game. 6 1/3, 5 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts. The guys have come in and thrown well. Matt Moore came in for 4 1/3, struck out 6. Alex has been out there for a couple of innings, given up 3 hits, and that's it. No walks and a couple of strikeouts.
So got Ronald Guzman entering the game at first base. And Goodrum hits a ball into left field, and another base hit for Nico Goodrum, his 4th hit of the afternoon and 5th time that he's been on base.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot, and he's kind of earned the praise that he's gotten in this series. He looks good. Another base hit. Came into the game hitting about 237, a lot higher than that now.
Goodrum did play 11 games last year with the Minnesota Twins. We got a little bit of big league time, but not very much. Hit just .059. He went 1 for 17. This has been impressive to watch so far, and what he's done with the Tigers, getting consistent, steady at bats. This is actually his 2nd career 4-hit game. He had one earlier this month against the Toronto Blue Jays on July 1st. Claudio's 1-2 to Hicks is hit to the right side. What a play by Rougned Odor over to Elvis Andrus, and they get the out at second. Check that. That's Jurickson Profar, who was slid over to shortstop. Elvis Andrus came out of this game. But what a play by Rougned Odor, continuing to flash the leather.
Yeah, he made that beautiful double play we've shown several times. That might be even better. That's a dive to his left. I thought he would probably get up and go to first base to get the sure out. Instead, he wheels and fires to Profar coming across the bag, and Jurickson made a nice play on a low throw. That's about as nice as it gets on that ball.
Odor continues to impress on defense. That is an excellent play. A couple of nice ones here this afternoon, and Alex Claudio will now face Victor Reyes. And Reyes, the pinch hitter, lines a base hit into center field to Delano DeShields. Let's take a look at our forward probables for tomorrow's game, the 4th game of this series, and we'll wrap up the season series against the Detroit Tigers. It'll be Austin Bibbins-Dirks making his 6th start of the season against Michael Fulmer. Start number 18 for Fulmer. Struggling a little bit for him. We've seen him pitch very well over the course of his early career, but see the ERA there up a little bit for Michael Fulmer. That'll be a good one, and coverage starts tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Fulmer, of course, was the Rookie of the Year back in 2016. There is Austin Bibbins-Dirks. So here's something you've never seen before, Tom. And I said this to you, didn't I?
did.
In the first
You
inning, I said
said
we
it.
might see Ryan Rua pitch in this game, and he's been tossing down there for a while.
I wondered why he wasn't in the game. You know, Jeff Bannister was giving some regulars some rest, and there's a couple other guys he could do it for, and Ryan was the only one not in the game, and now we know why. He's going to give the bullpen some rest, maybe.
Here's a ground ball fouled down the third baseline. So when they change the bullpens here, one of the downsides to what they have out there now in left field is you can't sneak out there. You can't kind of backdoor your way out there. The bullpens used to be in right field here, and those seats were not there. They're there in left, but to get to the bullpens, to access them now, you have to walk across the field. So in the case of Ryan Rua, you're going to have to go out in between innings. At some point, they have to make a decision, so you have to go down there.
Right.
The idea of you then pinch hitting while you're down there, not necessarily an ideal situation where you have to run across the field.
Come up to the bat, huffing and puffing.
I have seen that before, though, where play was stopped. I believe it was John Flaherty. I'm sure it's happened more times than just that, where he is a backup catcher for the Yankees at the time. He had to jog out of the bullpen.
Come in.
Everybody stops so he can get there so that he can come pinch hit. That's fun. That's a lot of fun for that hitter.
Yeah, occasionally you see a catcher have to do that. But I guess the best thing that could happen would be for have a double play right here and not have to worry about it.
But do you think that's what Ryan Rua is hoping for?
No, if I'm Ryan Rua, I'm wanting to get into the game.
Well, Doug Brocail is now going to go out and talk to Alex Claudio after that strikeout of Candelario. Kind of interesting here. What do you think, Tom?
I'm not sure what they're talking about. Making sure he's okay. He's thrown 52 pitches. Wouldn't think it'd be a big strategy session right now at this stage of the game.
Thought maybe that Bandy was going to let Doug Brocail make the pitching change.
Yeah.
Have a little fun, lighten things up in what's been a rough day here for the Rangers as they trail 7-1. All 7 of those runs came in the first inning for the Detroit Tigers.
And 4 of them were unearned runs. Alex has thrown a lot of strikes. 38 out of 52 pitches have been strikes.
He's been so good in that regard. You can always count on him to fill up the strike zone. A good changeup that he has, and he's going to try to finish off this inning as he goes up against James McCann. And first pitch off speed misses down and away. It's the 0 for 4 day for McCann so far. A couple of strikeouts, a ground out back to the pitcher, and a pop up to Rougned Odor. Here's the 1-1. Fastball at the bottom of the zone, called strike. Breaking ball down and in. So 2-2 to James McCann. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ryan Rua has been warming, but it's been really an excellent job by the bullpen as Cole Hamels was taken out after 2/3 of an inning. So far we have seen 7 innings, 7 shutout innings from this Rangers bullpen. I'll make it 7 1/3 after the strikeout from Alex Claudio, and James McCann is down. 3rd time he has struck out tonight, and we will go to the top of the 9th inning. The Rangers have some work to do to get back in this one. They're actually going to go for the win. Series win. Come on. Where is the faith? Alex Wilson now on here for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, numbers for Wilson. Been with the Tigers now for a couple of years. Slider, fastball, curve, and changeup. A couple of years ago with the Tigers, he was 4-0 with a 2.96 ERA in 62 games. Not a big strikeout guy, but for several years, fewer hits than innings pitched.
Jurickson Profar goes after the first pitch. This one's going to get into the corner, and it's going down for extra bases. Profar will hold up at second, an easy double to lead off the ninth.
Well, Jurickson has swung the bat well today. That's the only hit he has to show for it. But he's hit a well-hit ball to right field, left field that had been caught. Adds another one to it that wasn't caught. The ball just kind of ate up the right fielder. Castellanos thought he was going to just kind of trot over and catch it, but it went right by him.
So based on the conversation you and I were having earlier, I think I'll throw this out there for him, since we can't hear him. He's not here. When the Rangers come back and win this game, Mike Bassick has to walk to Fort Worth. It's not, that's not
that
nearly
or jump out of the booth.
Or jump out of the booth,
Texas.
yeah. I say we make him walk to Fort Worth from Arlington. Not too bad.
Yep, and I'll volunteer to drive right behind him, make sure he stays hydrated.
Throw him some water. Oh, Joey Gallo hits a high fly ball down the right field line. Castellanos near the foul line, and he makes the catch. Jurickson Profar will tag and go to third.
Well, that had some hang time on it. He just missed hitting that a long way. Castellanos.
I mean, how about
long time to judge that ball?
I understand he was already in the outfield because of the shift, but you don't see second baseman all the way down there in the corner. Even contemplating potentially trying to catch that ball.
Yeah.
So one out here in the top of the ninth inning. Jurickson Profar is at third, and Robinson Chirinos now steps in here against Alex Wilson. Chirinos offers at the first pitch and fouls it into the stands on the first base side. Oh for 3 this afternoon for Chirinos. Batting average at .204, 11 home runs and 35 RBI on the season. There's ground ball to the right side, but right at the second baseman. Goodrum. Profar will score. Chirinos is retired, and the Tigers will gladly exchange the out for the run, but it is now 7-2 Detroit. Delano DeShields now against Alex Wilson with 2 outs and nobody on here in the ninth. He takes a first pitch fastball, 92 miles an hour for a called strike. The confirmation, Mike Bassick will indeed walk to Fort Worth. He's on board.
Okay, good. Glad to know that. Now that there's nobody on and 2 outs, I think he's got to walk like the Abilene.
A slider on the corner, called strike 2 to Delano DeShields. So the Rangers are down to their last strike. And 29,000 on their feet. It's been a good afternoon for Tigers fans. Alex Wilson's 2-2 is lifted in the air to the right side. Shallow right field. Castellanos is calling. He makes the catch, and this ball game is over. 3 hours and 8 minutes. It was all said and done. It was a big first inning for the Tigers that did the Rangers in. We got your final score. Detroit Tigers 7, the Texas Rangers 2. Leslie McCaslin, David Murphy, and Mike Bassick will have player reaction and analysis for you
For Tom Grieve and John Radigan, I'm CJ Nikowski, inviting you to stay with us as our coverage of Rangers baseball continues.